and you hadn't watched any football this year until last night, you would have watched the Chiefs and been like, teams can beat them. But yet, no, they're unbeatable because they make the crucial play at the crucial time. And also, I'd be a little nervous if I was the rest of the league. Patrick Mahomes, we were going through his numbers last week. We were saying, hey, I don't know when the stretch is going to come. But if you look even last year, there's going to be a stretch of 3 or 4 games where all of a sudden he has like 9 touchdowns and 1 pick, or 9 touchdowns and no picks.
3 picks and no touch, or
3 touchdowns and no picks. And I
one.
wonder if last night was the start of that, because that was his best performance actually of the entire season.
Yeah, it was. By far. I mean, he looked comfortable. The only complaint you could even make is, well, maybe he got sacked a few too many times. Do I care if it's a 300-yard, 3-touchdown, no interception performance? Sometimes you get hit. Vita Vea had a nice game, right? So you got to deal with that end of things sometimes and then, figure it out from there. Outside of that, do I actually care? Nah, I'm good. I'm fine. I can live my life. I don't know what it is, but it's just when you go through and look at what the Chiefs consistently do, how they consistently win, the close scoring stuff does not bother me. It just doesn't. You know why? Because all they do is win. All they do is win. No part of it changes. Nothing looks any different. Sometimes is it frustrating or ugly? Yeah, sometimes it is. Yesterday, I would argue that the offense was never particularly ugly, except for 2 weirdo plays. They tried to hand the ball off to a wide receiver, and when they tried to soft touch a pass to a wide receiver. Weren't those the only 2 plays that just didn't go all that well? The rest looked like a fine-oiled machine. That was the first time. We looked this up, remember, not that long ago. Do you know how long it's been since the Chiefs scored 30 points? Been a long...
I think it was the Bears game.
Yeah, been a long time.
Bears game last year.
Over a year, the last time they scored 30 points. I know it took overtime, but I'm not here to complain about that performance last night. I don't know what it is about this team, man. They just know. It's probably just back-to-back Super Bowls and all this other stuff, Mahomes. They just know how to win. They've lost pieces. We can go back to all that stuff. They just bring in DeAndre Hopkins, and then it just looks like they're old pals. Nothing matters, man. Nothing shakes them. Nothing rattles them. Defense finally fails one time, which we can get to later. They just go down and score a touchdown. All of it feels about the same. It does feel like Groundhog Day. Every game feels the same. You agree with that, right? You and I, before the show, we were joking because we got to do a video thing where it's like we got to give a prediction for the score. And I think you chose like 26-18 or whatever yesterday.
Yeah.
The reason why we joke about it is every single Chiefs game is exactly the same. The opposing team has between 13 and 21 points. Typically, I know yesterday the Bucs got a few more. The opponent has between 13 and 21 points, and the Chiefs have between 21 and 28. That's pretty much every Chiefs game. This one was a touchdown better on both sides, but felt exactly the same. Binkley had pointed out to me, and I think it's correct too, they're now 1 game away from the longest consecutive streak of holding an opponent under 28 points. So can I even be that mad at the defense? No. This just is it's a classic Chiefs win, Gold. No more, no less.
Yeah, I mean, they continue to win in this fashion, and it should be fun. This should be a fun ride and all. Like, I understand last night was stressful when you factor in the injury and everything, but once again, step back and realize this is an 8-0 football team. This is a team that has won 14 straight games and is pacing to go make history, whether it is three-peating, whether it is a perfect season. And I know that seems silly after last night. And like, oh, they're going to slip up because they almost lost to the Bucs. But that's the whole point. Is it feels like they're going to slip up every week, and they don't. It doesn't matter. Like they have to be the most frustrating team to play in the NFL right now. Not only because they're on top, but if you're the Bucs, you felt like you had them. You had them. The Bucs played good enough. You would like to say, to win that game if you were a Tampa Bay fan. You're like, you felt like you played good enough. And then we'll get to it. Your head coach also didn't help you late. I couldn't believe they didn't go for 2. We'll get to that decision. The reason why I feel better today about this football team than I did 24 hours ago, even in a game in which Mahomes messes up his ankle and all of that, DeAndre Hopkins looks like the old DeAndre Hopkins. Any bit of this concern, like, you know what, he's got this knee problem, or that was a year ago that he had 1,000 yards. It turns out that when Will Levis was your quarterback, that might hamper your performance. And when you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid involved in your offense, they're going to get you the ball. We saw the uptick in production. We thought we would see it based off a snap count. He had 60% of the snaps last night, and that got them 8 for 86 and 2 touchdowns, including one unbelievable catch in triple team coverage that he only makes that catch. Even if Rashee Rice was healthy, I don't care. Rashee Rice is not catching that football. Nobody else on this team, period, is catching that football. It was a great throw in triple coverage, perfect. But DeAndre Hopkins, considering the vision that's needed to catch the football, to track the football, nobody else is making that grab. Have to feel even better about the trajectory of this offense long-term because of what DeAndre Hopkins has done. This was still only the second game with him in a Chiefs uniform. Him and Patrick Mahomes already have this connection going, man. And last night, 8 for 86, 2 touchdowns. Can't ask for anything more from DeAndre Hopkins. He was awesome last night.
I guess what really surprised me about it is they've been together for like 10 days. 10 days, right? Roughly, they've been teammates. I haven't seen Mahomes throw a pass to a receiver with that level of trust since Tyreek Hill left. But you guys have known each other for like 10 days. It's like the shotgun wedding. Gold, maybe when you find the one, you guys are just married in 6 months. I'm like, damn, that went quick, Gold.
Shotgun wedding.
Well, I mean, it just like they decided from the second they knew each other, they're like, you know what? We're in. We like this, and it works, and I'm comfortable, and you're comfortable, because that throw shouldn't be downgraded either. That throw was into triple coverage, only, I don't know, inside of a 2-foot box is probably where that pass could have been thrown. And he made that completion. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is the goods. He had a single touchdown in 6 games for the Titans this year. He had 2 in the game last night. And he had 86 yards last night. And he was the leading wide receiver immediately for this team. And he looks great. And he did the Remember the Titans dance, which is
perfect.
He claimed wasn't a stab at them, but it doesn't really matter.
He said he was actually honoring them and respecting them. I actually believe him on that one.
I mean,
he's spoken very highly on the staff that traded him to Kansas City at the time. Like, he appreciated that they traded him to Kansas City and not some terrible team or whatever. They traded him to a team, might get his first ring as an NFL player, and he has to be thrilled with the early return on him coming to Kansas City. The Chiefs obviously have to be thrilled with the early return on their investment, the conditional pick that could be a 4th rounder, who cares, based off of the production they're already getting from him. Guys, he was targeted 9 times. That gives you an idea of where things are trending. For 9 targets for him. Travis is out here getting targeted like 16 times in the game. The offense rolls through those 2.
Great.
It was incredible to watch last night. It really was. And now, if you think about the long-term future of this season, eventually Juju's back in the mix too. I'll be curious to see how they fit him in this whole thing. Maybe late in the season, Hollywood Brown somehow is a bit of a role. I'm just saying, like, you can get excited, I think, about what suddenly this offense could be later on in the season.
What we were worried about, once they lost their number 1 and number 2 wide receivers, are they going to be able to get enough offense to make a difference, right? We knew that their defense could play and their defense could keep them in games, but could they get DeAndre Hopkins Gold, we thought, acclimated by playoff time? I would say that we were pretty optimistic when we were talking about DeAndre Hopkins. I said I wanted like 4 catches for 60 yards. Wasn't sure if he'd get in the end zone, but, just somewhere in that end is what I was looking for. He exceeded even, I would say, like, the people that I'm like, okay, a little pie in the sky there. If somebody yesterday had told me he was going to finish with 8 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns, I'd be like, relax. Okay? Relax a little. Nobody needs to get carried away here. It is only game 2. No.
Yeah, 35-yard reception, obviously, was the...
Two touchdowns, right?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, both were critical in a game like that. Every single one mattered. It was awesome to see, and that's why I'm most excited coming out of the game. I mean, there's a lot of other moments in the game, some performances that you could say were worrisome, others that were really impressive, but there's nothing that should excite you more other than just winning the football game than what DeAndre Hopkins looked like. Somehow, the NFL traded DeAndre Hopkins mid-season to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, if I'm a Bills fan or a Ravens fan and I watched last night's game, one, you're saying, of course they won in overtime. The other thing you're saying is, oh boy, they actually got him another actual number 1 wide receiver again in Kansas City.
Yeah, if I were the rest of the NFL, I'd just be pissed. Like, Jonathan Mingo got traded today for a 4th-round pick. That's what the Chiefs gave up from DeAndre Hopkins if they go to the Super Bowl. You're like, why did you let them do this to you? There were 1,000 wide receivers available. Anybody else could have targeted DeAndre Hopkins, and you let the Chiefs go out there and get him for a 5th, maybe a 4th, depending on how far they go into the season if DeAndre Hopkins continues to play at this level. But, and look, I had doubts about if old DeAndre Hopkins was still available, right? Like, okay, what level of peak could we get? I just needed a stable wide receiver. That's what I thought the Chiefs needed.
Yeah.
Stability. Now, even if you factor in the first game in which he played 40% of the snaps because he had just gotten in there. He's averaging 60 yards a game and a touchdown a game over 2 games for Kansas City. It was the perfect signing. It's just like Mahomes is a different player when he has a wide receiver he trusts.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Drew, you got your first time at Arrowhead. You got to see overtime, right?
You didn't go last night.
You did. I'm not going, huh?
I did not go. I watched the game at home with my wife.
I was concerned for your mental health. It looked like you were watching college basketball last night.
During Monday Night Football, you were watching college basketball on November 4th.
I think it was right before Monday Night Football.
Let me give you the setup. I was watching college basketball before the game started.
Mm-hmm.
Then I turned to the TV. The big TV had on the Chiefs game the entire time. On my phone, I was checking in on the Ohio State-Texas college basketball game. Yes, and my Wisconsin Badgers.
I have a feeling in Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Buffalo, there was no blue chew needed for about 60 seconds when Mahomes was hobbling off the field. And then that thing did that. There was no worry to call a doctor because it was lasting too long. That ended very quickly once you guys saw Mahomes back on the field.
If any fan is like excited because people get hurt, that I feel really. I hope your life gets a little bit better. If you're,
I would agree,
because as soon as that happened, I felt bad because I didn't think that it almost looked like his leg just wanted to hyperextend, but it buckled instead. It definitely did not. It looked really awkward. I was hoping he'd be all right.
My initial fear was like they were going to zoom in on the Achilles. Like they were going to zoom in.
Yeah,
Like,
you're going to see that.
Don't zoom in. Like you thought it was like done, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
like,
my phone blew
I'm not
up.
going to try to pretend. Like I definitely was like,
Anytime it's a non-contact, the first thing you think of is the worst thing, of course.
As I said, like that feeling was the same feeling I had in the Broncos game many years ago with the dislocated kneecap. That was the same exact feeling I had, and that's the only other time. These are the 2 times in Mahomes' career when he's been hurt before, obviously. But the other ones are like you knew he might be hurt, but like you weren't worried it was a season ender.
Yeah.
This one at first, and then of course the Broncos one, both felt like seasons were over. And fortunately, that was not the case. This is even what Patrick Mahomes had to say on the injury on that particular play.
I was obviously running for the goal line, was about kind of committed to running the football, and at the last second saw Samaje, and so kind of awkwardly rolled the ankle a little bit. Definitely scary. I think it hurt more just because it's the same ankle I rolled last week. So it scared me a little bit, but once I kind of took my breath and kind of calmed down a little bit, ended up being not too bad. We were able to go in there, kind of get the respat, and go back on the football field.
I mean, it was a terrifying moment. I did see. I'll give Andy Reid this. This was probably the comment of the night on it.
That was I wasn't sure exactly where he was going to be with it, but he might have the loosest ankles in America.
I don't know what that means, but it actually feels true. Like all the he spends his entire offseason doing like flexibility training and all this crazy stuff that eventually leads Gold to him being this type of player. But greatness can change those things. Like DeAndre Hopkins, when he had 1,000 yards last year, that was 1,000 yards going through the motions. We've all had jobs, parts of our lives, things where we're just doing it to do it. We're just like kind of getting through it, whatever. It's a mandatory thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. That was his 1,000 yards last year. Man, it's motivated. Team's 8-0. He went from one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL to the best team in the NFL overnight. And now, this will only help him, by the way, because now he gets an immediate taste of, I can be great in this offense again. I can feel like 28-year-old DeAndre Hopkins again. I don't know if he'll do this every week, obviously, but like he can feel that way for a moment that like I'm an unstoppable force now. Mahomes throwing me the ball. I'm feeling young again, all of that.
My hope is, too, that he actually helps Xavier Worthy become just a better receiver as well. That's...
Yeah, he needs...
and I know
he just looks like a rookie.
And I know Juju Smith-Schuster's in the room as well, and he's obviously a veteran that can help. But I really think if you're Xavier Worthy, you talk about a player that like you can respect and obviously you can lean on to pick his brain a little bit. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a great person to have in the receiver room to help, whether it's this year Worthy or obviously later on in his career. But it would not surprise me at some point this season or next year, and Worthy has a big game, and people are asking, how much did you learn from D-Hop or whatever, and he doesn't have extremely high praise. I think that'll probably be the story eventually for Worthy, who we'll get to him a little bit later. It was a rough night for him. Some mistakes, obviously, just didn't have a good feel of the boundaries of the football field. Otherwise, this game maybe is a little bit less of a sweat. But D-Hop is the biggest reason why you should be feeling good. The other reason that this game turned in overtime, and you saw Baker Mayfield's reaction to the coin toss, he knew right away Mahomes was going to march the Chiefs down.
That's a great reaction to this.
Todd Bowles, who has done a very nice job in Tampa. Right now, he's dealing with a ton of injuries as well. They were on the road in a position to win a football game against an unbeaten team, and yet they don't go for two. The Chiefs' defense was worn out. It was a really physical game. Backs against their wall. The Bucs were moving the football, and for whatever reason, I was stunned. I really was stunned that Todd Bowles decided to just kick the extra point and roll the dice. One, because he left time for Mahomes in regulation, and then two, you were banking on a coin toss. This isn't playoff overtime rules. If the Chiefs march down and get a touchdown, the game's over. And of course, the Chiefs win the coin toss, and Baker knew it. It was done. I could not believe that from Todd Bowles. And his explanation, guys, was even worse. Listen to this.
Very minor. We wanted to get it to overtime with the wet conditions on the field. We felt like we had to go in overtime instead of go for two. So we had our shots. We lost the game.
He said the wet conditions on the field is one of the reasons why he didn't go for two. What, the field was going to magically dry in overtime? You just marched down the field in wet conditions. You couldn't get what would it have been, a 5-yard touch, 2-point conversion?
A 3-yard or whatever.
A 3-yard,
whatever
it is, yeah. It made no sense. I don't know what the real argument would be. On the road, you're going up against an undefeated team. You're shorthanded at wide receiver. And you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field. That has to matter.
Look, I'm not an NFL owner, and I would have to be careful if I were, obviously, in this case, because stuff like this would make me want to fire someone. You are allowed to make a mistake, but when everyone points out that what you did was stupid, then just say it was stupid, and I will do something different the next time. This is, I was trying to boil this down because somebody was, legitimately asked me, why is it a better decision to go for two? Okay, I'll give you the simple math on it. Going for two over the last 5 years in the NFL has a success rate of around 55%. League-wide. So whether you're good or bad at it, you got a 50-50 shot right then to win a football game. It's over. Now, I get it. Patrick Mahomes still got 27 seconds. In the case where they punted on 4th and 1, he gets to go for it. Maybe he gets it. But for the most part, you win a game by going for two. That's it. One decision, one play, one success. That's the only variable you have to get right. By kicking the field goal, here are the variables at play now. Do you win a coin toss or not? 50-50. Actually, less already, by the way, than the 50-50 shot. If you win that coin toss, can you still go 70 yards to get a touchdown? If you can't get a touchdown, can you prevent a team from scoring a field goal? If you lose the toss, can you prevent it from scoring a touchdown?
Yeah, we got it.
It's et cetera, right? The list goes on and on and on. You introduce 10,000 variables. Whatever the exponent is on the number of times you have to screw this up or could screw this up are infinite versus just get 1 2-yard play. It makes no sense to me. It's idiotic when coaches do this. It makes zero, especially on the road, especially in your position, especially against an undefeated team. All that just factors in.
The big outlier is also, you mentioned, you have just as much of a chance as the coin toss. You don't have any control over the coin toss. You have a 50-50 shot in which you have the ball. You're in control of that one play, and you're the underdog. I mean, I don't know what the NFC playoff race is or whatever, but you're trying to win a game and keep yourself in contention amidst not having Chris Godwin, not having Mike Evans, and all of those things. You got to go for two.
Yeah, you had your shot and you refused to take it. You had your shot there to prevent overtime, and you just didn't take it. I mean, all the circumstance pointed to them going for two there, and mind-boggling. Honestly, the Chiefs got a break. The Chiefs got a massive break that the Bucs did. And I know it was not 100% guaranteed the Bucs were to get the 2-point conversion, but I'll tell you what, I know. And look, I mean, Andy was asked, was he surprised that Todd Bowles didn't go for two?
No. But I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah,
I don't like to hear that from a coach. I'm glad he didn't.
Somebody told me
the
last
Chiefs'
night,
defense was on their heels at that point.
Someone told me last night that Todd Bowles is as old school as it gets, and he was never going to go for two. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Then fire him. I'm just sorry. Be like, well, I don't like using Excel. That's the job, dummy. You have to use it.
Well,
times change. I don't want to use a computer. I want to do it on a hand calculator.
The Chiefs' offense woke up and started running the ball way more, and they were getting 5 yards a pop every single carry. As soon as the Chiefs won that toss, the game was over.
913-586-7965. Someone from the 816 also brings up the mistake prior to that. It's fair in terms of time and clock management. that also when they got the ball down to the 2-yard line, the Bucs are who called a timeout immediately.
The Chiefs should have been the team.
Yeah, I mean, so they just bad clock management. The Chiefs were fortunate with what the Bucs did in that sequence, whether it was not going for 2 and also calling that timeout. The Bucs could have truly drained that thing down to 5 seconds and gone for 2, and they would have decided that literally the one play would have been the game. So you could have taken out the equation of, well, if we go for 2, and even if we get it, Mahomes still has time to march down for a field goal. You could have eliminated that sequence, make the Chiefs call their timeout, or just run the clock yourself down to 10 seconds before snapping the ball. It was botched. This is, again, why Andy Reid at times obviously makes mistakes too, but this is why the Chiefs continue to be undefeated and other teams struggle. Teams overthink it. Teams make bad decisions. They don't make the crucial decision, the right decision in the right moment. We can be critical of Andy at times being too aggressive, not aggressive enough, getting too cute.
He'd have gone for it.
When they need the play, though, and the players have to execute it, but when they need the play, he usually is on his you-know-what. Right, yeah. He's able to figure it out. Yeah.
When you even played the Bulls said we were playing for overtime. Loser behavior. As an underdog, that is loser behavior.
I just like the second they did that, I'm like, they're losing this game. Losers do. Like, I mean, that's exactly what
awful decision.
What are you doing? What are you doing? We got to play for overtime because it's rainy. It was over. Over.
You were playing in wet conditions all night. Like, it didn't just start raining. You were playing in wet conditions all night, and you had just driven the ball down the field against the defense. And they were worn out.
I will say, going undefeated in this season, and which the Chiefs might not still do, who knows? They're 8-0 now, so they're at least halfway through it. When I think I view it a little bit like a no-hitter in the sense that, like, some defensive play has to go your way. Some idiot's got to do the, I'm not going for 2, I could take this thing away from you a couple of times in the year. A couple of balls have to bounce your way over the course of a calendar year in order for it to work. So thanks, Todd Bowles. I appreciate you helping the Chiefs remain undefeated.
Yeah, maybe when they play the Steelers later in the year, Mike Tomlin, first touchdown of the game, maybe he'll go for 2 right away out of the gate. Something like that wouldn't surprise me, actually. Usually, we see teams be overly aggressive against Kansas City.
That's what's weird.
Todd Bowles, Drew said it. He's old school, and that's not going to work in 2024. You have to adapt.
That's like the last thing I want to hear about a coach, by the way. Chiefs are on a guy. He's kind of old school. Pass. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
that's
not.
Like hiring the defensive-minded guy as the head coach, essentially.
Yeah. There you go.
Just a terrifying sentence.
We'll talk about this game, of course, throughout the entire day. It's a Victory Tuesday in Kansas City. Up next, our viNFL Insider. We'll see what Vinnie Pasquantino made of that performance last night. We'll also discuss his Jets a little bit, too, who probably feeling a little bit better after the win last week.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
After working with Max Motors and driving a brand new truck up to St. Joe for camp a couple years ago, I know where I'm going for my next vehicle. My car is about 10 years old. It is almost that time. And Max Motors has the best financing options available with the highest trade-in values in the Midwest. I've been shopping around online at maxmotors.com. You can do the same thing and take advantage of the largest heavy-duty sale of the year. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. Max Motors, your Midwest dealer. See dealer for details.
Touchdown, Renner. Almost Andy Reid here. You know, a few years ago, my wife surprised me with tickets to a Halloween ball. And guess what? That night I discovered a new passion. Now I've added to that passion, cheering on the greatest team with the greatest garage door company of all time. Renner offers top-notch repair services, new doors, and LiftMaster openers. It's the perfect three-peat forward and back, RENNER with Renner. You'll stay on the championship track. Visit Renner.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mira, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan Silver Dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Americans treasure owning silver bars and coins, putting them away for themselves and their loved ones. Call now to secure 1-ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. You'll be glad you did. Hurry, don't miss out on this special deal. Save $10 per silver bar. The more you buy, the more you save. Limit of 25 bars per customer. Call to learn more. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan Silver Dollar. That's a $59.95 value and free shipping. Call 1-800-222-3967 now to secure your 1-ounce Morgan Silver Dollar bars. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. He's had songs written about him without asking for it.
Pasquantino, I want it. Now it's time for Pasquantino.
Mythological creatures and sandwiches have been named after him.
Beefy and Italian.
And he also thought the Devontae Adams trade was going to save the Jets.
The damn Jets.
Welcome back to the show. Our ViNFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino.
Well, good morning, Vinnie Pasquantino, our viNFL insider. How we feeling, man? Are you still are you stateside yet? Are you still overseas?
I am stateside. I got back on Sunday evening. Now I'm just enjoying the next few weeks of peace before start traveling again for wedding season.
Yeah. So this was my understanding was a bachelor party, right, over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm allowed to say it was Bobby's bachelor party.
Yeah.
I think there were enough players posting about it that we put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So, it was his bachelor party. It was a lot of fun.
Was Michael Walker there? We were happy to see him back with the Royals.
Michael Walker was in Kansas City finishing up a deal that I think everybody should be pretty happy about. So, he was not there, but he was in Kansas City signing pen to paper there, confirming that he'll stay with the Kansas City Royals for at least the next 3 years, hopefully the next 4 years.
Now, I don't know, did you get the, going back to Bobby for a second, I don't know if you were part of, I guess you were at the bachelor party. We thought it was super cool, the Topps, I guess, baseball cards that were actually asking, or groomsmen gifts, or at least asking to be part of the bachelor party. Did you get one of those?
I did. It was a pretty cool thing that's on my mantle right now. I thought it was a really cool way for a guy who's super into cards like he is. I thought it was a really, special way to ask guys to be a part of his big day. So I do have one.
Vinny, I'm assuming that Bobby kind of lands in this same thing, but we're watching the Chiefs game last night. Andy Reid says that Mahomes has the loosest ankles in the NFL. Do you find that some players just have an additional flexibility to avoid injury in that kind of case? Because for about 60 seconds, I was worried Mahomes was down for the year.
Yeah, so full transparency, I did not see it. I was at a hockey game, so I did not see the injury. I saw the end of the game, so I saw them talking about it. But yeah, I think there's just some guys that, I don't know, it feels like have a knack to not have things go wrong. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know what the science would be there, but maybe it's just simple toughness. I don't know how to describe it. There's just a will there for him to be okay. And I'm sure he's in pain. It didn't look like there was the one play where he fell down after he handed the ball off. I'm sure there's some stuff going on, but he definitely seems to be a guy that when things go wrong, he doesn't let it affect anything to the point where you can't tell if anything is seriously wrong or not. So you got to give it to him for that.
I think everybody, including Baker Mayfield, knew what was going to happen once that game went to overtime, though. We're kind of stunned that the Bucs didn't take their shot there, Vinny, and try to go for 2.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with the announcers. There was a few things that were confusing there. I don't understand the timeout.
No, that was a bad one.
Because it just feels like 30 seconds or whatever. Kudos to the Buccaneers for scoring there and making that, go to overtime. But I don't think anybody saw 27 seconds left on the clock with 3 timeouts for the Chiefs thinking, I was surprised they didn't score at the end of the fourth, to be honest. And then, you see them get the ball to start overtime. It's like, okay, well, it just feels like the game's over. That's just what they do. You can't let them have an opportunity to finish the game on their own accord. And if you give them that opportunity, they're going to take it. And that's why they are who they are, because they do the little things right. If they make mistakes, they can cover up for it later. And they simply just don't make as many mistakes as other teams. They've got better players, and they're just really freaking good.
I think Baker's the perfect example of organizations matter. I'm impressed. They lost their top 2 wide receivers. He's still out there battling with Patrick Mahomes on the road in a game. I felt like I gave him a ton of credit. I feel like he's kind of underrated still amongst some of the great NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think the word, not to use a word twice, but I think the word is just tough. He's just a good player. The thing about him, right, is he's going to look like he did last night. I think there's some inconsistencies with sometimes he looks fantastic, sometimes he doesn't look fantastic, and that's probably why he's been with a few different teams. It's not anything against him. It's just kind of the truth. Sometimes he throws interceptions that he probably shouldn't, and sometimes, like the last drive last night, he looks like the number 1 overall pick, where he's just slinging the ball around to Sterling Shepard, and he just looks fantastic. So he kept him in that game last night. I think that's a tough one for the Bucs to swallow. You've got the Chiefs right there. I think you could say that about 5 teams that have played the Chiefs this year, and the Chiefs are just better, and they know how to finish games.
Yeah, that what you just said there is exactly, I think, what most of Kansas City is feeling like here, and maybe most of the NFL, which is that you watch them, and there's plenty of moments where you're like, oh, this team is very beatable, and yet I think, as Scott Van Pelt said, he's like they're unbeatable, even if they look beatable at times. But and here we are, and they're sitting at 8-0.
Yeah, they do the little things better than everybody else. They block better. They run the football and they stop the run. And even though we're in a new era of football where throwing is king, even though I think it's coming back, you can stop the run and you can run it. You're gonna have a shot because you can take time off the clock and you can, keep time in your favor when you can stop the other team from running. So they do the little things really well, like I keep saying, and they're just a tough team to beat. Obviously,
we've had a show debate about whether or not which teams to take seriously in the rest of the AFC. So I'd like your opinion. Our producer obviously is a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I think they're fraudulent. Do you still think they're dangerous?
They do little things poorly. Too many penalties, too many big defensive plays. So yeah, I don't see them. I see it probably as a 3-team race in the AFC between the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. I think really anybody outside of that doesn't really have a shot, in my personal opinion.
Now, are you going to, here over the next couple of weeks, maybe at least from a playoff spot perspective, talk yourself back into your Jets? You got to feel at least better about the situation after that big win last week.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the strongest schedule in the back half of the season, so I think from that end, it gives you some hope that they can go on a little bit of a run, but they need to tighten some things up, and they haven't done that all year, so there's no precedent that they're going to. So if they were to make a run, it would surprise me a little bit, but I could see it happening. But they need to be better in pretty much all facets of the game, and they'll show glimpses of it like they did in the second half against the Texans. And if they continue to play like that, it'll be great. But they've given me no reason to believe that they'll continue to play like that. Doesn't mean they won't, but I have no evidence that they will. So I'm hopeful that they will. Really hopeful that they will. But we'll see what happens.
Maybe, Vinny, for your sake, maybe the Lions can be like, I don't think at any point in my entire life, I was born in 1984, could you openly say the Lions are one of, if not the best team in the entire NFL right now? They had a long run of bad. Maybe that could be the next thing for the Jets, right? The Lions are the example of how you can come out of the darkness.
Yeah, well, that's they've got a coach that clearly leads that team that everybody buys into. I mean, I'm a big believer in, even if your plan is bad, but everybody believes in it, you got a shot. In no way am I saying the Lions' plan is bad. I'm just saying that's how I believe in it. And the Lions have so much conviction in what they're doing that they're just a tough team to beat too, because they believe in everything they're doing. Like, we're going to come hit you in the face, and we'll see how you react to it. Like, we're going to play offense all game long. See how that feels. And they've been able to just beat teams up this year, and it's been really impressive to watch. And yeah, I'd love it if my team was like that.
You get there one day. I have faith in you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just remind me again, what age did you become a Jets fan?
I don't remember. It's been my whole life.
Okay. It's
Remember, it's the whole Vinny Testaverde thing.
Yeah. I know that there's like a picture of when I was like 5 or 6 years old wearing a Curtis Martin full outfit, like full uniform for, I don't even think it was Halloween. I'm pretty sure for Christmas I just wore an entire Curtis Martin uniform.
No, I respect it. I just think that, like, when you look at the organizations that change it, a lot of times it starts with quarterback. I'm assuming that that's why the Jets tried with Aaron Rodgers. It's just harder to draft one. I guess that's what we mentioned.
I disagree. I think a lot of it starts from even higher than that.
Okay.
You have to put people in the right situation, and that's your job as like front office, right? You create the culture and the situation for guys to come thrive. And if you're lucky enough, you'll bring in a player that can change it on his own. But for the most part, that starts from the top down. And you can see that with some teams. Sam Darnold is thriving in Minnesota.
Right.
Nobody would have said that, right? That comes from a culture standpoint of Kevin O'Connell does a great job with him, and they set it up in a really good way. And situation does matter quite a bit in sports. Now, sometimes, like I said, there's players that can transcend situation, but for the most part, it's all situation based.
Can the same be said for your fantasy football team? Is the right man in charge? How are we looking?
That's 100% correct. You guys got to want to come to work and want to work for you. So that's why I always try to draft tough-minded individuals on my fantasy team to just make sure that we're in every single game. We might not win every single game, but we're gonna make it tough on our opponents.
Who's having the worst season? If you can just throw out somebody's name, that's part of that fantasy football league.
Garrett Hampson. His team sucks. His team sucks. It's like 1-7 right now. His team is just called Fire Sale, which is a crazy thing to have in a 1-year redraft league. So,
who's he selling it for?
What are people trading him real cash? What's going on here?
No, I think he's just tired of his team and he wants new players. But nobody wants his players. He's 1-7.
Does he at least have the injury excuse? Like, did he draft McCaffrey and Pacheco and he just got screwed?
I'm in so many leagues that I have no idea.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I feel bad for Garrett.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy. I feel bad for his terrible fantasy team.
Great guy, and playoff absolute champion for us this year.
No doubt. Hey, Vinny, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Yep. See you guys.
There you go. Vinnie Pasquantino, our viNFL insider. Sounds like his fantasy football team at least is going well.
He's doing okay. Garrett Hampson's not so much.
That's why I wanted a name. I was like, we got to get a name.
He's 1-7.
Very quick.
His team's named Fire Sale. I'm like, but who's he? It's a redraft league.
Yeah, if it's a keeper league, you understand it. You're trying to load up on some players and all that. But yeah, redraft league, there's not much you're getting by selling.
Your only job when you're a terrible team is to put in a qualified starting lineup. Is to just
This is why we do guillotine league too.
Yeah, just keep playing. That's all we ever ask. I only survived by about 10 points this week in guillotine. I think
it was close. It was close. We were asking him about just the rest of the AFC and everything, and particularly like the Jets' strength of schedule wise. They have the fifth easiest schedule. The rest of the way, it looks like Kansas City's kind of middle of the pack or so. The toughest schedules remaining in football, if you were wondering, as it teams that would impact Kansas City. Pittsburgh, third toughest schedule remaining. A lot of it's that division. Broncos, who had the Chiefs twice still. They have the what is that, fourth or fifth? Yeah, fifth, it looks like. Toughest schedule the rest of the way. That's kind of where things stand with some teams that could have an impact perhaps at some point in time for Kansas City. As far as the Bills go, and they're right around Kansas City, straight the schedule. And that's, of course, the team you're competing with for the number 1 seed.
Did you hear what he had to say about your team? Said all they do is find ways to lose, man. Just
I was
mistakes.
seeing if Drew was going to chime in. I was wondering if Drew was gonna try to talk Vinnie into taking Cincinnati more seriously.
Look, nobody else has to. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can keep on saying that they're not good enough. You keep it. That's fine.
I mean,
like it
that's
this
fine.
way.
Yeah.
I like it this way, anyways.
Yeah, no,
it's better this way.
Fair
Being
enough.
an underdog is more fun sometimes.
It can be. It can. We get that on the baseball end sometimes, right? And that role.
The Bengals
more.
have been the underdogs
Obviously, the
forever,
Chiefs haven't
so
been.
it's
The
fine.
Chiefs haven't been a true underdog. I understand in the betting markets they were an underdog to San Francisco and stuff like that. But like, nobody's going to try to make that case for the Chiefs who are on a three-peat campaign. One thing that I think was very evident last night in the football game. There was a moment in the first half, at halftime actually, where the Chiefs had 9 carries for their running backs. Majority of them to Kareem Hunt, but also Carson Steele had a carry or 2. And I think Xavier Worthy had 1 carry. And that's when the offense was kind of struggling. And they were passing, I think, 22 pass attempts from Mahomes in the first half, and he had a great game. But they were clearly trying to pass the football. And Vita Vea was wrecking the interior of that offensive line. And you and I had put something on the rundown as well at that point in time, and I was like, why are they abandoning the run? For them,
at one point it was like 7 carries for 16 yards, and they just stopped giving it to
and I understand, like, some would argue, well, they just didn't have success. I thought they abandoned it too early. Then they got back to it on the first drive, I think, or maybe second drive of the third quarter, and it was 4 straight runs, and I think 5 out of 9 plays were run plays. They got Kareem Hunt going again. Naturally, guess what opened up? Travis Kelce started to get open because they were able to run the football. All of that was complimentary, and Kareem Hunt ends up having a stellar game. You look at his stat line, you would have thought he was running throughout the entire first and second half. It was mainly second half, third quarter yardage for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I just think it was a lesson that I know you have Mahomes, and now you got D-Hop, and he was great and all that, but when this offense has been at their best, they've also been running the football. I think hopefully it was a bit of a warning, like, don't abandon the run. And I guess ultimately they didn't abandon it because they went back to it in the second half. But it felt like for a little while, they were giving up on it too quickly. And I'm glad they got back to it. To me, that's why they won the football game.
Well,
they got back to it. That's what opened up the passing game again in the second half, because Vita Vea was wrecking them when they were dropping back and passing. 4 sacks in the first half.
I think if you look, yeah, I know. And then they didn't let up another sack the rest of the game. If you look at this, I have never felt better about their situation than where they are right now, because I have watched Andy Reid forget the run a bunch of times. And you know what he doesn't go back to it, dude. That's it. He just forgets about the run, and he tries to pass himself out of a paper bag, right? He does whatever he can to survive just throwing the ball. And sometimes it works. It has certainly worked plenty of times. This is one of the few times I will say in the entire time I've watched Andy Reid where I watched him turn that back on. They were down. So they were down 17-10, and then they went back to the run. That feels like I never see that under Andy. And again, there aren't a lot of criticisms you can make about him, but one of them, when we were joking earlier this season about the things that just go with Andy, is that sometimes he forgets about the run. What was crazy is it wasn't effective. I think the reason why they had abandoned it early is they got themselves in some longer second and third downs because they weren't moving the ball very well. But what I was surprised by is normally they keep running on second down, And they had just let that go early and then turned it back on. Kareem Hunt ran with more juice in the second half of that game than I think the most since I saw in the first game of his time in Kansas City. That was the most energy and effort I have seen him run with since that very first game back in a Chiefs uniform. He was great. And yeah, I think that is, as much as like Mahomes is great, and that's another huge reason why they won, the Kareem Hunt stuff might have been the single biggest reason why the offense had success in the second half. Built off everything. Every single touchdown drive they had.
The final stat line, he tied his most carries of the season. He had 27 carries last night for 106 yards in the touchdown, the game-winning walk-off touchdown, as we all know, in overtime last night. Against New Orleans, he had 27 carries for 102. So both Monday Night Football games are his two best performances of the season. And we know he doesn't have the breakaway speed anymore, but he had the run for, 15 yards or so last night.
It was a good run.
Which was, I can't remember, maybe who put it out, but it was like the longest run from a running back the Chiefs have had in
a year.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco obviously is another tough, hard runner, but usually doesn't have the 20-plus yard runs or anything like that. No, Kareem Hunt's been, it goes without saying, he has been so important for why they're undefeated, and they got him off the street, and he has been we said yesterday, the second best running back in a couple metrics in football heading into last night's game. It only got better. Yeah, I mean, now he averaged 3.9 yards, which isn't the best yards per carry. But
that only went down because of that last drive. And a little bit in the year.
First half, he wasn't doing much. Second half, he was awesome. And I just hope that was a wake-up call, though, as well. Though, even if it's struggling for a quarter or for a half, you got to get back to it because it changes everything for this offense when they're able to run the football.
Kelce, Mahomes, and DeAndre Hopkins finished with 304, I think, total yards and 3 touchdowns. Pretty good day.
Yeah.
Pretty good day at the off. Oh, you got it to your 3 best players? Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kareem Hunt? Well, good. I can't believe the 2 of those players weren't even on this team to start the year.
That's what's amazing.
2 of the Chiefs' best offensive weapons didn't even start the year as a Chief. But who cares? One was on the street, and the other was available for a 5th, maybe 4th-round pick, so it works for me.
Thinking of acquiring players, we know the trade deadline is this afternoon. Adam Schefter is still out there reporting. The Chiefs have had some interest in Marshawn Latimore, of course, the talented corner down in New Orleans. They've already fired their head coach. A lot of teams are interested in Latimore. We discussed this yesterday. The challenge here is the financial and not the actual draft compensation, although I guess it's a balance between the two. But this year, financially, not a huge problem. It's the years that are remaining on the contract. He's 28 years old, but there's significant money still remaining on the contract. Not guaranteed money, but still significant money. We're not talking like $6 or $7 million. It's like, $14 million, $15 million that we're talking about. That's why I wouldn't do the trade, Cody. I'm all about giving up draft capital, 5th, 6th, 7th round. I'm fine. I don't think the Chiefs should be taking on $16, $17 million next year for Marshawn Latimore.
So I'd entertain it only for the reasons that I've discussed before, which is I'm desperate for the history part of it, 3 straight championships, what that means for Mahomes, Andy, the franchise, a million other things. So would I consider taking on that weight for that? Yeah. But what I think is happening with the Chiefs, now that they've gotten some of their deals in place, what I think is happening there is they're lowball offering houses at this point. They want the Saints to trade them Marshawn Latimore for not very high draft pick compensation and to keep all the money on their end. Hey, if you don't mind, if you don't have any other calls, the only way they're getting a player as high of the level of interest as Marshawn Latimore is if there's no other team calling. And according to multiple reports, there are plenty of teams calling on Marshawn Latimore. The Chiefs are not going to be the best offer on this one. They were making some calls because I think it was Jeff Tradia over at NFL Network who reported earlier today that they've called several other teams about corners. They're not getting a call back, getting ghosted.
Not a lot of not a lot of corners available, too.
And that's what it really comes down to. I don't think they're going to be able to buy their way out of their corner issues. I think they're just going to have to develop them and then try to solve some of the corner issues with pass rush, which they did by adding Uche. And ideally, when Amenahue comes back, they'll be able to continue that. Plus, Karlaftis is on a hot streak over the last couple of weeks, etc. I think they're just going to have to cover it that way is the truth. I'd entertain it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Deadline 3 o'clock this afternoon. Nate Taylor from The Athletic is going to join us at 1 o'clock today. We'll get his final kind of thoughts on if anything's going to happen. I think it's obvious, though, once again, the Chiefs are definitely trying to make something happen. It doesn't mean the deal's going to come together, but they clearly are involved in discussions. Now, there's been some activity already today. Keep you up to date throughout the show. A couple trades have gone down in the last 2-3 hours or so this morning. Zadarius Smith is now a member of the Detroit Lions. Big deal. We know Aiden Hutchinson Davidson is out for the season for Detroit. Dan Campbell was not trying to hide the fact that they were aggressive trying to get a lineman. Zadarius Smith, no longer with the Browns, now a member of the Detroit Lions. Khalil Herbert, a smaller move here. He's a backup running back in Chicago. The Cincinnati Bengals have traded for him to go with Chase Brown now that Zach Moss is done for the season. And then Jonathan Mingo, former top pick for the Carolina Panthers a couple of years ago, traded from Carolina to the Dallas Cowboys. Not really sure about that trade. Dak Prescott is hurt. I don't really know what's going on there other than Jonathan Mingo. You got a couple of years of control, and it's a move for the future. But the future of the Cowboys doesn't look good anyway right now. So 3 trades already down, and it's only 11 o'clock.
I'm sorry. So DeAndre Hopkins, who is a free agent, a pending free agent, he costs less than Jonathan Mingo? Wait, just real quick. Their 4th-round pick will be way higher than the Chiefs for starters. Also, they're giving up a guaranteed 4th-round pick, not a contingent 4th-round pick. They gave up more for Jonathan Mingo than the Chiefs did for DeAndre Hopkins?
Oh, I'm with you.
How stupid of a trade is that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the argument on the other side would just be that Mingo has 2 more years after this under contract, but he has like 500 yards in his career, and this year has no touchdowns.
He didn't have a touchdown in his career.
Yeah, so that's the trade just doesn't make sense for if Dak Prescott was still healthy and you just felt like maybe. Cooper Rush is starting for you, Dallas. So I don't get it. Yeah, it's Jerry Jones.
Are they only facing like the Panthers the next 4 weeks, and they thought maybe they could get some wins? What's the Cowboys schedule looking like?
Don't they have Cincy coming up too?
Yeah.
Eagles this week.
That's a nice break for your Bengals, by the way, to go up against Cooper Rush.
My God,
instead.
so they think with Cooper for weeks. Nah, he might be back by then because it's a full 5 weeks before they face Cincinnati.
You want some conversation this morning? You're getting it.
Yeah, we are. Thank you, Jerry.
They have the Eagles this week, the Texans next week, the Commanders on the road the week after that. Their schedule stinks.
They're in trouble.
The hell they traded for Jonathan Mingo for?
You think I'm an idiot?
Yes, Jerry.
Do you?
Yeah, well, some of the decisions, Jerry, would make me think that at times.
They must have loved him coming out of the draft.
There was another name that's come up for across the leagues, Azeez Ojulari for the Giants. The Giants want a 2nd-round pick as their GM thinks Joe Sheen thinks they can make the playoffs still. The Giants, so that's why they're asking for a lot.
I don't, but you know,
I don't think anybody does.
I think as a GM, you can say whatever you want. I guess. How far back are they? I mean, what do they got? Like 3-4 wins? They got more wins than the Bengals, or the same amount?
Less.
They have 3 wins, right?
Oh my God, they're 2-7.
Oh, never mind.
On,
how are they making the playoffs?
Come on, Joe. Let's live in reality here.
They're like a top 5 pick then, right?
Yes, they got like a negative 60-point differential. Lost 4 games in a row.
Up next, there was one thing that didn't happen last night. We had seen it throughout the season, but we were both surprised by it. We'll tell you what that is, and we'll take a brief step away from the Chiefs as well, something that doesn't make any sense in Major League Baseball as it relates to what the Royals accomplished last year.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is proud to offer an exclusive and extensive collection of some incredibly rare bourbons, whiskey, and tequilas. Plus, check out our barrel selections that are handcrafted by our team and bottled just for you. Supply is limited. Cheers!
Hey Chiefs fans, this season it's time to share your gratitude. We want to hear from you about the Chiefs player you're thankful for. Call in and tell us your favorite Chiefs player and why they mean so much to you. Not only will you get to shout out your favorite player, but you'll also qualify to win $500 in Hy-Vee gift cards. That's right, $500 to spend on your favorite groceries, game day snacks, and more. Only at Hy-Vee. So, who's the Chief you're thankful for? Dial in now and share your story.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. At Diamonds Direct, there's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Who else does this? There's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Truck drivers, don't wait until 2025 to find a more reliable career. At Schneider, you'll enjoy reliable freight, a consistent schedule, the home time you want, and top quality driver support. No matter what kind of driving job or home time you're looking for, we have an opportunity for you. Plus, by driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy throughout the holiday season and into the new year. Don't wait. Search jobs near you and apply now at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
What makes a good real estate agent? They just know what makes your home sell. And homeowners all over Kansas City trust the Sharp Homes team brokered by Epic Realty to sell their home. And I trust Dawn as well. If I needed to sell my home, Dawn Sharp is the only call I would make. Dawn and her team know how to price your home correctly and how to market it to as many potential buyers as possible. She has over 200 five-star reviews on Google and Zillow, and you can see them when you Google Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleandkc.com and start packing.
You've been waiting, and now is the time. Golden Oak Lending has fixed mortgage rates at 4.875%. But don't wait. This rate won't last forever. Call today and take advantage of our low 4.875 fixed rate. Call 913-890-GOLD. That's 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
5.784 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts is honored to recognize the service of our military personnel. To show our appreciation, O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a 10% discount on many items to all active duty, reserve, veterans, and their dependent family members. Exceptions apply. Get details at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Listen to the Chiefs and Broncos game on Sunday with pregame starting at 9, kickoff at noon with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour. It's Cody and Gold on a Victory Tuesday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Reminder, in 2 hours, Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us as we'll be inching closer and closer to the NFL trade deadline. We'll see if the Chiefs have another move up their sleeve. We'll also keep you guys up to date if there's any other moves in the NFL that impact the Kansas City Chiefs. Just 3 trades. I shouldn't say just 3, but 3 trades already happening in the NFL today. Also some, I'll call it a little weird news in the NFL. The former Raiders head coach, Norv Turner, also was the Chargers for many years, is coming out of retirement, according to Tom Pelissero. He's going to join the Raiders offensive staff. Yesterday, the Raiders fired their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. And so now you have Norv Turner coming out of retirement.
Well, his son's the favorite to maybe be the play caller.
He's going to help out his son. Scott Turner is going to most likely end up handling the play calling. And so now Norv is going to help his son out. Antonio Pierce has had Marvin Lewis involved, has had – look, I applauded him in the
Is Brian Billick available? Or I mean, is there any other alive coach from the 90s he would like to see around? Is Bill Cowher coming in for a consult?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, man.
It's not a good strategy, man. Just hiring the coaches of the guys who were coaching when you were a player 15 years ago is not a good strategy.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin already was there for Tom Coughlin was already there. Look, in the offseason, I applauded that, hey, you're going to have guys like Marvin Lewis and Tom Coughlin come to your training camp and help you. You admitted, if you're Antonio Pierce, publicly that, like, hey, I want to have, I don't have the most experience as a head coach. I want to learn from these guys. I think that was actually smart. That makes a ton of sense. But now we have seen the results. We have also just seen Antonio Pierce at times in-game decision-making is terrible. He also just doesn't have a quarterback. And even when he was trying to juggle Aiden O'Connell and Minshew, he was changing quarterbacks in-game multiple times throughout the season. Now it's just desperation. Is what it is.
Mike Holmgren around?
Yeah, Mike. There you go.
It's like, I mean, that's the same as Norv Turner. Like, I mean, it's the coaches of our youth. Yeah. I just like
Tony Dungy.
That's right.
Oh my God, not Dungy. Not after. Didn't he say some stupid Chief stuff?
Just bringing everybody.
He said a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah. And you know what? He's one step away from bringing in like famous coaches from other sports. Like he's going to bring Phil Jackson in for motivation.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, he's 1/2 step away from that.
Funny.
He's bringing in Norv Turner.
He's going to bring in Dusty Baker.
I hadn't even thought of that name. Why didn't he at least call Pete Carroll? At least he was doing the job. Like
I think Pete Carroll
10
still
seconds
works.
Ago.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Pete Carroll still is with Seattle, and
I thought he was. I mean, he's teaching at USC. I know that.
Yeah, I thought I could be wrong. I thought Pete Carroll was still an executive assistant crap or whatever.
Someone says Marv Levy's still alive.
He is.
He is.
Legend.
Still kicking.
Legend. We've got his phone number.
Jeff
99
Fisher.
years old.
No, that's right.
Think about all the former coaches he could bring in here to help run this
Jeff,
show.
all I want to do is get to 9-8. Just help me get to 500, please.
Honest to God, he'd probably take that.
Mm-hmm.
Help me.
Latest update just on the trade front. This from Jonathan Jones over at CBS Sports says the Commanders have emerged as a real contender for Saints corner Marshawn Latimore. He went on to say the Chiefs have had interest in the corner as well. Still 4 hours to go before the deadline. Commanders make a ton of sense. That defense is their biggest weakness. They're having obviously a great season. They got a rookie quarterback, so the money's not as problematic for them.
Yeah, it means
and they're 7-2. So yeah, Marshawn Latimore would make a ton of sense there in DC.
When's the last time they won the division?
Oh, man.
RG3?
90 something.
You think the first year of RG3?
Did they win the division that year?
I mean, he had such a great year.
I know, but was
that would have been like a 10-6, 11-5 year, right?
Well, it could have been the NFC East. It's not like people have been,
maybe
Washington.
If it wasn't RG3, then I have no idea.
They didn't get it like 1 year under Alex Smith or anything. Oh, they won in 2020. It's 7-9.
At 7-9, they won
7-9.
Oh my gosh!
They won it in 2020 at 7-9.
Was that Heineke or Alex Smith?
Alex Smith. The last time they won it before that was 2015 at 9-7.
Jeez.
I like that they've never had like a good record when
they haven't had double-digit
They
wins.
have the same amount of wins now as they did when they won the division in 2020.
They haven't won a playoff game since 2006. Ooh. They were in 2005 playoffs, but in January of 2006 they beat the Bucks, and 1991 when that was the last time they were in a conference title game. Anyway.
That is crazy.
Speaking of good teams instead of bad franchises, the Chiefs have been a very good franchise, obviously, since the second Andy Reid stepped into town. I think I felt the same way a lot of people. I saw it on the text line earlier. I saw it on Twitter last night. I don't want to overblow it because of how good they've been. Stunned that the defense did not get that stop last night. Surprised, disappointed even, that they did not get that stop in the final drive. That they allowed 3rd and 12s to turn into first downs. That they let 3rd and 11s turn into 10-yard gains. That they let them kind of bully them. In the final drive of the game for Washington, the defense got bullied. Or not Washington, sorry, we're just talking about them.
I got you.
For the Bucs.
Yeah.
The defense got bullied by the Bucs offense, by the Bucs offensive line, by the running backs and Cade Otton. It wasn't all and Sterling Shepard of all people. They let themselves get beat up last night. And I was shocked because it's the first time I've seen anyone draw blood on this defense, which was concerning because obviously they've had a few injuries as well. It was the most disappointing effort from the defense this entire season.
It was surprising. Yeah, it was surprising. The tackling and some of the mistakes were uncharacteristic of what this defense has been. I guess that's where you give some credit to Baker Mayfield and what they're able to do. Remember, they were down multiple top receivers. Mm-hmm. On one hand, that might concern you, and maybe that gets back to the trade conversation. Do they need another corner? Because I still think Joshua Williams, it's been rough to watch at times for him when he's been asked to be in that role. Maybe they get Najee Johnson, though, back from concussion protocol next week, or this week, I guess would be coming up, against the Denver Broncos. We shall see.
Hopefully.
But yeah, that was surprising. I mean, this is a team that, against Atlanta on a 4th down stop, got it. Nick Bolton stuffs the run. We all know what happened a week ago in Vegas where the Raiders had the ball at the 5 and they went backwards 5 yards or whatever it was, and they got a 4th and goal stop. So that's why it was stunning. It's like a victim of their own success in a way where we're like that was what made it so jarring is we hadn't seen that happen yet with this defense. I don't suddenly think that they're a problem or anything like that, but it was definitely jarring to see for the first time this year an offense a couple times move the ball on them as successfully as they did. And then the tackling, and I don't know if that, blame it on the weather conditions. I have no idea, right? Maybe that was a contributing factor, but there was way too many missed tackles last night. And that's why. Normally they've been a really sound tackling football team, and that wasn't the case last night.
No, and I think that's what it really kind of boils down to for me is this was a team that just straight up looked uncomfortable on defense for the first time all year. Now, I'll say in the first half, that's not the case. They let up their traditional touchdown drive in the first half of the game, and then it seemed like they just kind of locked things down. Not much going for Bucky Irving, not much going for Rashad White. He got his touchdown right in Kansas City. Good for him. But, for the most part, looked pretty normal. In the second half, Baker was picking them apart. But this is the time. So, this is where I'm not quite as strong as you. They have problems covering the tight end. It is a true and very real issue. Mm-hmm. If you had parlayed 4 weeks in a row the over on tight end and receiving yardage against Kansas City, you'd probably be a millionaire by now, parlaying it together depending on what you bet, because it hits every single week. The concern is this is the first time where I thought it almost caught. The other times, Gold, the games didn't feel far enough apart that I was overly concerned. This is the time I thought I was going to lose them the game. They couldn't guard Cade Otton in the final drive of the game. I thought they were going to lose because of it. So, there is a point where I'm like, okay, maybe it hasn't cost you a game yet that the tight ends are taking advantage of you, but I'm a little worried about when it will officially. For a while, I was just kind of ignoring that problem and putting it in the back burner that's future problems. I'll just deal with that later. I no longer think it's a future problem. It is very much now a now problem, isn't it?
The tight ends, Cade Otton last night was the first time I believe a tight end, I could be wrong, other than Isaiah Likely, had got a touchdown against them.
Yeah,
and
just
so
the yardage. Yeah.
The yardage is obviously a problem. And I have been consistent on it that when they're not in the red zone, they're not having when they're in the red zone, they're not having success with tight ends. Last night was the outlier of that. It was the first time that we really saw Cade Otton, in this case, have success in the red zone. They've typically actually in the red zone buckled down. Speaks to their entire defense. So no, I don't think that tight ends are going to be something that costs them football games.
You don't think it's ever going to lose them a game? Not even once? I don't know how you're not worried about it a little bit.
I don't think that whenever the Chiefs lose a game, if you think they're going to lose a game this year, whenever that is that they lose a football game, no, I do not believe the story that we lead the show with the next day will be blank tight end got him. I think it'll be a variety of other things. That's all I'm saying. It's like clearly it's a problem. We've all acknowledged that the yardage is out of they're averaging 88 yards. Tight ends are against the Chiefs. I mean, it's a problem. We knew that going in. It's why we always saying, hey, bet the K-Don over last night. And
every soul on the planet
for good reason. Yeah, like for good reason.
Him and Kareem in like the first half.
Him and Kareem Hunt to go over their totals on the ground. They both ended up easily cashing. It was dicey in the first half for Hunt. So it was just odd. We knew the weakness of the Bucs. Their rush defense. We said it yesterday. Yards per carry ended up being a weakness. Why they lost the game. We knew the Chiefs linebacking core, et cetera, are weak against tight ends. K-Don had a really good game. Like nothing was surprising with either of those two things. But no, I'm not hitting the panic button because K-Don got yards. We know that's going to be a liability at times. And as I've said, I will take that liability when it means shutting down number one receivers. Now the Bucs didn't have a number one receiver last night, but this
they
season
did shut down the receivers up until that final drive.
They did.
I think the text line probably has it right, and there is a part of me that did this. It's not that they haven't faced other great quarterbacks. They faced Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert. They've actually faced some really good quarterbacks this year. Baker continues to impress me. Like, not to compliment the opponent. Guys, he's just kind of a gamer. That's probably what I would describe him as. He's just like a gamer. Will he ever be a top 5 quarterback in this league, top 10 quarterback in this league? No, probably not.
No.
But he's better than the normal 10th through 15th because he'll just show up and do stuff. Like, he'll make stuff happen sometimes. A lot of the quarterbacks 10 through 15, just like, they're like good because like they don't screw up too much. They're not great, but they're not bad. They don't screw up too much. They just kind of go about they're the Alex Smiths, right? They just go about their business and things happen. Baker Mayfield's makes some things happen, you know? He does have big-time moments in big-time games, and it felt like last night he was trying to do that, obviously, for Tampa Bay on that final drive of the game. He goes all the way against the Chiefs' defense, which has been, that's the most points I'm guessing they've given up all year, right? 24?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they gave up 25 to Cincinnati.
Yeah, 26-25 game back in week 2. And then his coach didn't believe in him to go for 2, so he lost the game. So
that still doesn't make any sense. Should we have made a bigger deal about the Bucs standing on midfield? Idiots. Why do teams do this?
It usually doesn't turn out well. Now, the reason why it's not as big, it's not as big of a story because
to have a team meeting, dude.
It's not as big of a story because it went to overtime and it was a close game. If they would have got their ass kicked, it would be a bigger story. Yeah. But the Raiders did this once and it was a disaster. A team meeting. That's the whole point, Drew. Teams are doing that. You do that on purpose. You don't accidentally have everybody huddle up at midfield. That's what I'm saying. So it's the same thing. And I don't know whether the Chiefs use that at all, but we know the Raiders did that a couple years ago and they ended up getting their ass kicked. I don't think it's as much of a story because it was a close game, but yes, I did see that.
I can't remember if it was Peyton or Eli last night, but I wanted to see, because Peyton always gives like some funny reactions for game-winning drives for quarterbacks and bad decision-making. I was like, I want to see this Baker drive and Peyton. And
Eli did the handstand celebration.
No, yes, that was fantastic. I think it was Eli that said this actually, because they had Maria Taylor on, and I think it was Eli that goes, do you think if Tampa Bay wins, Baker's going to go plant a Bucs flag at midfield like the Oklahoma game?
Yeah.
And Maria Taylor was like, no, I think he's past that.
I will say this upcoming game this weekend, which we don't have to get into. I mean, this is 2 of the top 5 defense in the league based on points per game. This game might be 13-10.
Could be very low scoring.
Do we already have an over/under for it yet? Too early?
Yeah, the Chiefs before last night were 9.5-point favorites against the Broncos. Just same line as this Bucs game. Now it's down to 8.5. The total's 41.5.
Yeah, they think it's low scoring. 41.5. I mean,
that's 4 points.
4 or 5 points less than this last one, which hit the over, by the way.
It did. But 8.5, it was 9.5 for the Raiders game, 9.5 for the Bucs game, depending on when you got the number, and then Chiefs 8.5-point favorites Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead.
Broncos also coming off a game where their defense got wrecked against
the Ravens.
Baltimore. That was
them.
Holy crap! Yeah. It was bad.
Small note, by the way. This is social media is a hellscape 99% of the time.
I hear today's a great day to be on it, too.
Probably even worse today.
Yeah.
It's a hellscape most of the time. I do love that social media lets a kid from Incarnate Word. I would have never seen that celebration if the internet doesn't exist. And he started an entire trend of people doing headstand celebrations throughout the whole damn league. He's got Eli Manning doing it on ESPN last night. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra was the best, though, because just the photo of the still shot of him and then his teammates next to him was awesome. If you just Google Amon-Ra headstand or whatever, the still shot of it from AP photo or whatever was really, really cool. So yeah, that's how some of that stuff happens, man. It's amazing how quickly it takes off. And yeah, that is because of social media.
It's a fun little thing that started, yeah.
Quick side note of football.
Yeah, I saw this during the game. This happened during the game last night. And it was
Interesting
news
choice
involving
by Major League
baseball. That's another thing. Point.
Announce it during Monday Night Football, you idiots.
Yeah, this
Basketball's
goes
on
back
TV.
to my issue and your issue as well that we have with the award situation in Major League Baseball. We won't spend much time on this, but during the game, all of a sudden I saw that Major League Baseball announced their executive of the year. I'm like, oh,
JJ Picollo, baby.
Picollo. Nope. It was the executive over in Milwaukee, Matt Arnold, and I'm not going to poo-poo what he did. He won the division.
Screw that guy. I will.
Okay.
Did a terrible job.
We can just do that too and not have a conversation. Go ahead.
No, please go on.
No, go ahead.
You're not going to bury him.
I was saying Matt Arnold won it, and it's not like they didn't have a good season. But it, to me, is absolutely absurd that J.J. Picollo didn't win this award. 56 wins the year before, and he goes out and acquires Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo. Lugo's an all-star. He trades for Lucas Ursek mid-season, and this team wins a playoff series, and yet he's not the executive of the year. The reason why they believe they, being the reporters involved, gave it to Arnold, I guess, was they traded away Corbin Burns, they lost their manager, and they still won the division. That's the thought there. But, man, the Royals had one of the biggest turnarounds in baseball history.
It's a top 10 turnaround in the sport. I think it's close to top 5 win percentage-wise. The Brewers went from a 92-win team who finished first in their division to a 93-win team who finished first in their division. So obviously, he's one of the better general managers. He has taken a small market team, and he has taken them to back-to-back division titles. Overall, even though I said screw that guy and I don't know anything about him, he obviously is doing a fine job in Milwaukee. Why not just take the layup when it's there? It's a bunny. Guy went from 56 wins to the playoffs with the same lineup. He had to revamp an entire starting rotation. And he also gets, if we're benefiting last year, right, if that's what you're giving Arnold part of for, right, is, well, he's done this 2 years in a row. Like, okay, well, then 2 years ago, he also had to change his manager. He had to trade for Cole Reagans. Like, if this is a multi-year award, well, then I want to talk about some of JJ's accomplishments last year as well. If it's just a this year accomplishment, the Royals absolutely went through more challenges than the Brewers did. They were also in the number one most difficult division in the Major League Baseball. Should that not factor in?
No, he should have been executive of the year. I mean, it was pretty surprising not to see that be the case. The Brewers won, and guess what the deciding factor is? Brewers won the division, and they didn't. If we're oversimplifying, that's the only reason why I could see them possibly have given it to him. But no, I thought this was like a no-brainer win for J.J. Picollo.
And it's not like it's an award that comes from the media either. I mean, this is team officials, right, that make these decisions. So I don't get how they dropped the ball there, I guess.
I mean, I guess there were 3 teams above 500. Nobody was like bad.
If the Royals win the division next year, maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll get it next year by the same logic here.
Isn't it not? That's more of a manager thing, though, than it is like an executive
No, but like
thing,
an executive, it factors in as well. Like,
your team's got to win.
Your team, like, if the Brewers won 75 games, I don't think the executive of the year would have gone to their executive. So, of course, wins factor into this.
I know, but wins matter, but not winning the division.
Well,
that's what I mean. If you
mean,
flip 30 wins compared to 1, Cody, correct?
Yeah.
If you flip 30 wins in one season, I don't see how you can make an argument.
No, I'm with you that J.J. Picollo should have won. I'm just saying, if we're other than just screaming at the top of our lungs and saying it's not fair, if we're talking out why it might have happened, I'm saying it must have been the division part of it.
It feels a lot like a Lifetime Achievement Award, which baseball does more than just anyone else. He's been with the Brewers for 9 years. He's been their general manager for 4. He had never won the award. No one for the Brewers had ever won the award. And so you just give it to him because that's what they were able to accomplish. But, I mean, it was the Guardians a couple of years ago. It was Mike Elias from Baltimore last year, a team that also had a massive turnaround. I just thought it was going to be J.J. Picollo. He did such an excellent job. I don't feel bad. Like, I feel bad for JJ, and I think he got robbed. But you and I both know how good of a job JJ Picollo did, so what do I care?
Yeah.
Also, this is going to go down to like Brett Veach. If they have it in the NFL, he should win it every year. Right. They're not going to give it to him every year. So JJ will have it.
And it was voted on before the postseason. Since the Royals won a series, the Brewers didn't. If it wasn't, then maybe he wins it. But that's why they vote before the postseason. Otherwise, you would have all these awards just based off of postseason success only. So I get why they don't do that. All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
I think this is a perfect trash of the day, considering the show's history on this subject.
Uh-oh. Is it about bank robberies?
No, that would also would have applied, but this has to do with a 63-year-old man that's been arrested for allegedly stealing $400,000, not 40, not four, $400,000 worth of cheese. The business, Neil's Yard Dairy, was allegedly conned by a fraudulent buyer who posed as a wholesale distributor for a major retailer. $400,000 worth of cheese was stolen. Now, I'm not sure what types of cheeses. I know you were asking me about it.
Cheddar, mozzarella, Havarti, cream cheese, Colby Jack. Did I say Gruyere? Blue, Swiss.
Not sure, Cody, which one. That's a lot.
That's a sophisticated cheese heist.
Has to be. Has to be.
I got to be honest. We've talked about
20 tons of cheddar worth nearly $400,000. It's a famous cheese shop in London, and they delivered more than 950 wheels of pitchfork cheddar before they discovered it was all ruse.
So here's, I guess, the question I have. First, that's a lot of cheese. 950 wheels of cheese.
Yeah.
Much like anything else you steal. What is your plan for offloading this on the secondary market at presumably a lower cost than the original? There ain't no way it's easy to get rid of $400,000 worth of cheese. You can't eat that in 50 lifetimes as one person.
Here we go.
How are you going to get rid of this?
Cheese enthusiasts are advised to be wary of suspiciously large quantity of premium cheddar on the black market.
Where the hell do you even find the cheddar black market?
And this line, you'll love this line from the article. If the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Boy. That was from the article. Not me. I hate them right Not now. Me, I promise. Yeah,
they come in cloth-bound wheels. Take 12 to 18 months to age properly.
No, it's high-end cheese, man.
Award-winning cheese.
It's good stuff.
You guys got chips last week. Do you think for the fan club this week we can get
somebody to send us some cheese?
High-quality cheddar?
Let's get
Not a whole wheel. I don't want a whole wheel of cheese.
No. We did. We had those barbecue chips.
How were they?
Bolton's chips. They were actually really good.
Better enjoyed them. What was the what's the crunch level? Like a kettle chip?
Oh, it was a good ridge chip. Drew took a bag home. Chip. I gave Drew a bag. A good like rigid chip or whatever. Yeah, those were pretty damn good. Okay. Normally,
secondary market. Okay. Well,
I see what you're doing there.
Okay. Well played. Well played, text line. Well played. I see you. Oh man, I don't know where you find the black market for. Like, I'll just be honest. There's no situation. Let's say I'm going to go to the store. I buy, we buy like cheese and bacon, those things. I buy it in bricks, right, and just shred it at home. So sometimes I'll buy like a 2-pound brick
of cheese.
2-pound brick.
What kind though?
Cheddar, mozzarella.
Which one?
Mostly cheddar.
Oh.
Because you're using a lot of different stuff, so I'll just shred it. I'll buy a good. But if somebody was standing outside the thing, be like, I see you got some cheese. You want?
I bet you they do.
Brick, price.
I bet you.
I'm not buying it off of some guy in a trench coat with cheese in his jacket.
I bet this individual or people that stole the $400,000 worth of cheese, I bet you they did a better job offloading and selling it back on the Facebook Marketplace than you did with our box of stuff from a year ago.
That might be true.
I bet you they do a better job.
Facebook Market, you buy wheels of cheese on Facebook Marketplace?
You can find anything.
Steal TVs or something you can sell. Or don't steal. That's an option, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That is the trash of the day here on Cody and Gold. Up next, let's talk about Travis Kelce a little bit more, right? And what he is now pacing for. And there's one big reason why I think we've seen this shift. We'll tell you what that is next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
I've told you guys for a while now, my car's starting to get up there in age. And so it was such a relief when I got to drive a brand new truck from my friends over at Max Motors up to training camp just a year or so ago. It made me not have to worry about the reliability of my car, and I knew I was working with the best in the Midwest. Max Motors has the best financing options available with the highest trade-in values in the Midwest as well. And you can shop online at maxmotors.com. And right now they have the largest heavy-duty sale of the year. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. They also have new 2025 Ram 1500s up to $14,000 off MSRP. Stock number S250009. So if you're thinking about that new ride, now's a great time to head over to Max Motors. Whether it's maxmotors.com or heading down to one of the locations in the Kansas City area. Max Motors, your Midwest dealer. See dealer for details. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 12/12/2024.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Well, I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified.
Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done his share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics.
I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call.
Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
We take the fluid out of you, we concentrate it, and put it in an area where they couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing.
Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments.
What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself?
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts is honored to recognize the service of our military personnel. To show our appreciation, O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a 10% discount on many items to all active duty, reserve, veterans, and their dependent family members. Exceptions apply. Get details at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, #1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down to T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel, chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight #2. At T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
24 monthly bill credits. Eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
O'Reilly.
You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, Chiefs Red Half Hour. Let's talk about Travis Kelce, shall we? Travis Kelce, the last couple weeks. Last night, for starters, 14 catches, 100 yards on 16 targets. And yes, I understand the game went to overtime. 16 targets for Travis Kelce. And you go through and you start taking a look at his last 5 games and what he's done. I'll let you start here for a second with where he's pacing, and then I think there's a pretty obvious reason why this is happening.
Okay.
Where is he pacing now?
Travis Kelce, 4 weeks ago, was pacing to have 387 yards on the season.
Okay.
Now, 4 weeks later, Travis Kelce is pacing for 925 yards, only 75 short of 1,000. He would only need to average 63 yards per game the rest of the season in order to get 1,000. If he played one less game, let's just say they were undefeated and he didn't need to play the final game of the season, which if they were undefeated, I think he would need 71 yards per game. Travis Kelce's right back on track, man. He's a 1,000-yard receiver again. Problem solved.
Travis Kelce and D-Hop last night combined for 22 catches, 186 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And what's crucial about each one of those catches for both, but obviously Kelce's part of this, 11 of those 22 were for first downs. 6 were on third downs. And that's a big reason why Mahomes was also just so stellar on third down last night. So Kelce is pacing like the old Kelce again, just like that. And look, just as quickly as it changed, obviously it can change in the opposite direction. But here's why I don't think it will, other than I don't know if I want him getting 16 targets a game, and you're like, why not, Gold? What are you talking about? I worry about his health long-term for the season. I want him fresh for the playoffs. So I don't know if I want him getting 16 targets a game the rest of the season, because that concerns me in January. But it's pretty obvious, Cody, why the production is up. We said when early in the season, Rashee Rice was eating, and he was putting up big numbers, and Kelce's numbers were suppressed. And everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. We're like, you know what? Rashee Rice is running a lot of the underneath stuff, and he's just younger and quicker. He gets open quicker. He gets to those spots quicker. Well, Rashee Rice, we all know, unfortunately, is out for the season. The last 5 games, and that includes the first game post Rashee Rice, right? The first game when Rice got hurt was 7 catches, 89 yards on 9 targets. Since then, 9 catches, 70 yards on 10, 4 catches, 17 yards on 5.
Quiet one.
Yeah. 10 for 90, a touchdown and 12 targets against the Raiders, and then what we just mentioned, 1,416. And that's not a coincidence. Like, 1, Rashee Rice injury. 2, those last 2 games, I know it was limited snaps last week, but DeAndre Hopkins. You have a number 1 receiver that garners attention.
That doesn't do the same job as you. And maybe that does matter. And I see a lot of people being like, the working fan theory is he's risking it all, his body, because he doesn't care. He knows he's retiring at the end of the year, so he's just going to throw caution to the wind. I think this is just who Travis Kelce is. For anybody who wrote Travis Kelce off too early, bad news. You were wrong. He is fine. I don't think, and this is the part that I disagree with on people, because even the people who are defending his recent performance are like, yeah, but it just looks harder. No, it doesn't.
Oh, last night didn't look hard.
He just had He got hit hard a couple of times, but it did not look hard. It didn't look like Travis Kelce was having to work for those catches. That's what he was having to do early in the year. You're like, damn, even that 5-yarder kind of sucked. Like, it felt like you were having to, like, night and day difference from what I'm used to seeing. I don't know why he started slow. Part of it is probably the Rashee Rice thing. I think part of it is because they switched offensive tackle 2 weeks into the season and they needed to use him in the blocking game, and they didn't have a real sense of it. And I think part of it is now that they've reinvented themselves with the absence of all the wide receivers, guess who they decided to circle their offense around again when they had to reinvent? Travis Kelce. I think what you're right is like even more so than just he runs the same routes is. Clearly now, in retrospect, they spent the offseason making the transition. The transition was our offense is not Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce like it's been for 10 straight years. Our offense is now Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice. We've made the transition to the younger player who can handle the workload, and we love it. And it was fine because it was working great. And now they're having to transition back to, it's around Travis Kelce. And then now you're seeing the results of that. I still think he would have finished with like 900 yards or whatever, even with Rashee Rice around. He'd have found his. Yeah. They'd have kept locking in on Rashee Rice. But the fact that they're locking in on him now and he's still going for 14 catches, 100 yards on 16 targets a week after he went 10 for 90 and a touchdown. Woo! I mean, goodness, he's back to full form.
He is. There's part of me this Sunday against Denver. Now it's a short week, and after that workload, that I'll be fascinated to see
what's his over/under.
What his over/under is, but also like what's the target share? What's his snaps like?
Sure.
Like it would not surprise me on Sunday if we see Noah Gray more involved. Just because like that's a. I don't care how old you are, but that's last night overtime game, physical game, that many targets. Ton of snaps, like that's tough,
34,
man.
Yeah.
That's tough. Like that still is reality. So when he's healthy and fresh, we've seen what the production can be. Nobody should doubt that anymore. I just want to keep him fresh. That's my only thing later on in the season. That's my only hesitation with anything that's going on the last 2 weeks in terms of volume.
Well, especially because there's not a bye week coming.
Not another bye. That's why the number one seed is so important. Get the number one seed so you know for sure you have the 1 week bye in the wild card weekend to where he's good to go. We all know he looked like a Hall of Fame tight end in the playoffs last year after not a great regular season by his standard.
In the dream scenario, he gets 2 weeks off. He gets to take week 18 and the first week that they're off because they've locked it up before the final week of the season, which we don't know. Right now, there are 2 other teams in the AFC with only 2 losses. So the Chiefs only hold a 2-game lead currently on that spot. And the Bills have had to play an extra game and still only have the 2 losses. So they're actually only a game and a half back at Kansas City. And the Steelers have played the same number of games, but the Steelers aren't getting the 1 seed, man.
Yeah, and look, he was obviously feeling good about his performance. Also, it helped that Jason Kelce, of course, was on ESPN last night, part of the broadcast. They even got Travis to come out of the locker room, walk across the field, and join them on set after the game. That only happens because Jason Kelce was on set. But this was Travis Kelce talking about having DeAndre Hopkins on the team and what that's doing for everybody.
I mean, I said it already. He's a swag champ, and that just juices everybody, and it gives everybody confidence. It gives everybody the ability to just play free and trust the guys next to him. And I was feeling like the old head for a while. Yeah. But D-Hop being 2013 draft class as well, we've been able to relate to each other in that regard. And on top of that, it gives Pat somebody he can trust. That's right, baby. Hop is in the building.
The touchdown on the goal line, is that something that Patrick checked to at the line? It looked like it. My guy Stanford Steve was on that. If you talk to him, ask him. It looked like something at the line of scrimmage. It looked like a check.
No, it was all a part of the play. I think Pat might have been calling out where the offensive line was going to in terms of the protection and stuff. But on top of that, I mean, it looked like they were just on the same page, right? And D-Hop has been right on time every single time. And right now, Pat is playing out of his mind right now. And Coach Reed's dialing those things up.
So that was Travis with SVP last night on ESPN. And yes, Patrick Mahomes was sensational last night. You look at his numbers. For those that haven't watched as much and they've only been into the box score, they can't even complain about that last night. We've been discussing how he's made game-winning plays. Maybe the stats haven't been there the last couple of weeks. Last night, the stats were definitely there for one Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and D-Hop, the biggest reason for that, obviously, and what they were able to do. The one thing I'll say while we're on the ESPN topic for a second, did you see they did do the look-alike contest you brought up yesterday?
They did.
Very disappointed in I don't know.
Wow, disappointed.
Well, the individual they chose was one of the ones I said should not win.
Yeah.
He didn't look like Andy Reid at all. What happened to our guy? I think his name's Matt. I don't know. Fake Andy Reid.
Yeah.
He's got a Facebook page or whatever. You know which one I'm talking about if you're listening. There's 1 or 2 that truly look like Andy, not just as a play sheet and as a stash. The guy that won last night was too skinny and stuff. It's not this. There's a better fake Andy Reid than the one that won the ESPN contest. Did you see what the winner got?
No.
Jason Kelce said he got it from the man himself. He had a Ziploc bag and asked, and he claims, Andy Reid to cut some whiskers off his stash. He handed a bag of whiskers to the winner.
So I guess now you could clone Andy Reid if you're looking for a head coach after that.
That's right.
Start that process now.
Do you think he actually cut whiskers from the stash and gave them to Jason?
Man,
it's Jason.
Jason Kelce probably convinced a coach.
That's what I'm saying. I think
it probably is really his whiskers.
Now, what do you do with that if you're that individual that has a bag full of Andy Reid's whiskers?
I think you try to frame it up with something signed by Andy.
So like a signed
You try to get
football?
a signed photo or football, then, like they do like the confetti.
So like that guy
but it's got the whiskers in it.
So that guy that's also fake Andy, even though it's not the better fake
Sells
Andy,
the tops for
you
a
have
card.
a photo of him with the real Andy, and then at the bottom of there's just some whiskers. Is that what you're asking?
I've seen some trading cards where they put like a piece of George Washington's hair in it.
Yeah, that's a little bit different.
Could you do that, but with Andy?
That's different. Also, that normally is more like they just have like a little, like it's one letter that he wrote in cursive or whatever back in the day. Like that's those kind of things. I know what you're talking about. I don't know. Someone says wait till. Well, that's dark. Someone says wait till he's no longer with us and sell high. Wow.
Jeez.
I mean, it's going to be hard to prove it.
Yeah. It was, I think it was, if you look at Jason's beard, because Jason's beard has like 4 different colors in it right now, it probably was just Jason.
How much gray you got in your beard if it grew out?
There's a few spots that would have like a few, there's like 3 or 4 hairs that would come in gray.
Not a ton yet?
Not a ton yet. I found one on like on the top of my head the other day. I was like, oh boy.
I didn't want to tell you. When we were in Vegas, I saw one
gray hair.
One gray hair. I was like, man, it was just
one.
It wasn't a bunch,
no,
but it was
one.
But there was one really
on
obvious.
The side.
Like,
it's on the side.
Man, was that?
It's
that was
usually
looking gray.
Usually
it was just
on the
one
side.
hair.
I know it's been this way for like 6 months. So far, it's just been one. There's one gray
at a
hair.
time, or just one you've been leaving in there?
No, it keeps coming back. Like obviously, it's one. It is one gray hair on the side. That's it. We're getting old, man. I turned 34 in January. You know
the salt and pepper look.
Oh, it's one
Ladies
hair.
like
I'm not
that,
doing anything right now.
I'm just saying you should lean into that.
Oh, if it gets,
are you a dye your hair type?
I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like when time comes.
I feel like the salt and pepper is a beard thing.
Not even.
Than
I'm not close to salt and pepper. It's one gray hair.
Someone says Andy can be framed for a crime now.
If you
his mustache.
If you and I are still doing the show together for a while, like each way, all of a sudden I'm gonna start having the endorsement.
Could go gray. Who knows?
Yours is I think just thinning. Not gray.
It stayed about the same level of thin. Like, it's never here. If I go bald, it'll be back here. But it hasn't really changed. I've always had kind of fine hair.
Someone says for me to pluck the one. It's one. I'm not going to pluck the one hair. I feel like that'd be bad, too. Maybe it'll lead to more. I don't know what they say
Just
about
one.
that. Someone says, by the way, Matt Black is the name of the almost Andy Reid. He's the best one. And I don't know where were you last night in the contest? You would have won easily. This other guy that won, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but does not look like Andy Reid. Bad representation.
That's bad.
Bad representation.
It's tough. Last night's game was the embodiment of the entire season.
Oh,
Does that
man,
feel right?
roller coaster.
Halfway through the season, they made mistakes, shot themselves in the foot. To start. Let's just talk about the start of the second half and the end of the first half. End of the first half, get a chance to get some points, bungle it. Don't get what they want out of it. They open up they then kick the ball, obviously, because they had deferred the Bucs. They take it to the 50-yard line, score a touchdown. They get the ball back at the 40 on the next drive, score on you again in a field goal situation. Balls getting knocked around, Kelce fumbling at the end of that half. All just messy. The second the Chiefs had to score, it's middle to late in the third quarter. You are down a touchdown. Ass is on the line a little bit to get something. You only have 10 points midway through the third quarter. What do? 10 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. Next drive, 10 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. It's not those exact numbers, but they're pretty much. They were nearly identical drives. The second the Chiefs need anything, I have never seen a team that I have covered with the Chiefs like this, and different from other years. They can just turn it on the way that they do. They're just like, oh, it's important now? Oh, okay. Got it. No, the game matters now. Is that what you guys are telling me?
Yeah, we hear in sports a lot about finding that second gear or whatever, and they are the direct example of that time and time again during this dynasty run that they've been on. I mean, this was not the only game where we've seen this by any means. We've seen it this season. We've seen it over the last couple of years. When they have to have it, sometimes it's the defense has to have it. Sometimes Butker has to have it. Sometimes Patrick Mahomes has to have it. They find a way to get it. And even if there's other issues, mistakes earlier in the game, it truly is an example of like not letting prior mistakes compound themselves. There were some mental errors last night. Even in other games in the season when Mahomes will make a mistake maybe in the first quarter. He's one of those players, it does not impact him in the fourth. Sometimes we'll say, oh, maybe he pressed right on the very next play. But what happened in the first quarter has no bearings for him. It does for other quarterbacks, no bearing for him on what he's going to be able to do in the fourth quarter. And obviously overtime last night, too, in this case.
They had 3 touchdown drives in the final 4 drives. Is that right? The only one they didn't score on was they almost got in field goal range at the end of regulation and 27 seconds left.
The overtime drive was surgical. It really was. I mean, it was play calling, everything perfect. It was the game was over when they won the coin toss, but also after the first 2 plays of the overtime drive, you're like, oh, Yep. They're going to march right down. And Todd Bowles knew it after he didn't go for 2. I still don't get that. Baker Mayfield knew it when he lost the coin toss.
Yeah, he did reach his head back.
Somebody from the text line asked an interesting question. What do you think if the roles reversed? Does Andy go for 2 in that moment, or does he kick the field goal to go to overtime?
I think he goes for 2. Listen to his comment after the game. He said, he's like, well, I don't know what he did, but I'm glad he didn't. Like, I mean, he mentioned it on there. Here's Andy on them not going for 2.
No. But I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, he was asked to see
Are you
surprised.
surprised?
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't. There is no more devastating thing to hear from your opponent than, hey, like it doesn't matter. Do you know why they used that time out there? No, but I'm glad they did. Or do you know why they didn't go for 2? No, but I'm glad that they didn't. Like that is a devastating thing to hear. Andy tipped his cap. He absolutely would have gone for 2. It's the right play. It's the obvious play. It's everything else.
Yeah, all the scenarios. You're on the road. You're the underdog. You're going up against an undefeated team. Your offense is wearing down the opposing team's defense. You know that Patrick Mahomes is still playing football on the other side. It made zero sense. I'm sorry. There is no good argument for it, especially when you couple it with them calling a timeout with 30 seconds to go. They could have made the Chiefs burn a timeout, or they would have ran the clock down or should have to like 15 seconds or something like that, and then ran their plays to 2 plays, 3 plays to get in the end zone and got the touchdown as time was expiring or close to it. Then there's an even stronger argument to do what they were doing. I mean, it's like I don't understand the extra point at all.
No, I don't, and I never will. But it's just like that game is just who the Chiefs are at this point. The reason why they're 8-0 is not because they have been the most well-executed or even just like so much more talented than any team on the field. They can't be stopped. There's no one to win better than you, way better than you. When they need things to go right their way, they get those stops. Like even I know they didn't get the final drive stop. They went and let down when it was 17-10 and they got the touchdown, they needed to stop. Got it there to get it back in Kansas City's hands. Got some 3 and outs. Got some short game. Held them to a field goal, which I thought was huge to keep it to 17-10 when they were moving. And look, the Bucs shot themselves in the foot a little bit in that drive. There were a few penalties that kind of drove them back into dangerous territory where they had to pretty much run offensive plays only to get a field goal. But it's the same thing. They made mistakes that eventually cost them points, and Kansas City did early. They always will early. They should have had like 10, 13 points in the first 3 drives, and they had like 3.
Yeah, Worthy just had no clue about the boundary there.
Yeah.
That's a bad rookie mistake. Even Andy at halftime going in, he was talking to Lisa Salters. Usually Andy won't say much in those. He actually was, he was asked about the mistakes, and he's like, we've got to stay. Like he kind of called out Worthy as much as you'll ever hear him call out a player. Kind of.
Got to be better there.
I mean, that was bad. that was bad. That was an easy touchdown, and I'm sorry. To me, that was not on Mahomes leading him too far. No, Worthy just he should be able to run through that and just get a touchdown.
Also, when you're wide open, you're not supposed to run. There's a million coaching things, and he's a rookie, so we'll get to that. But
I think regarding the Todd Bowles thing too, not that players don't like Todd Bowles, but in that moment, if you read the room, I think players want you to go for it in those situations where you can, hey, we have the momentum, we're the underdog, let's just go in there and just rip the hearts out.
It's a little the opposite Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell goes with like the energy in the room.
Yeah, I disagree with this one text. If someone said, you only go for 2 if the season is over. 4-4, the Bucs were still alive.
No
I just firmly disagree with that.
He also blamed the rain, dude. He blamed the rain.
His reason was that
slick.
Wet conditions was part of his thinking to go to overtime, as if there was just a dryer to come over the football field in overtime and it was going to be perfect. He just marched down the field on the defense in those wet conditions. I totally disagree of the notion of like, well, their season wasn't on the line, so they didn't have to go for it. I don't think that matters in this scenario.
Before the game even started and we got to overtime, an incredible moment. Did you see the nice moment before the Chiefs started their game against the Bucs last night? Something that's been years in the making, I like to think, years in the works. Could have another thing happen on Wednesday, maybe even. Before the game last night, in case you missed it somehow, Creed Humphrey met the band Creed. A perfect marriage of sorts. At least on this show's perspective. Scott Stapp standing there in his poncho next to Creed. They're all smiling. Creed meeting Creed. It was a perfect moment.
Creed.
It's exactly what I wanted.
Creed Humphrey, that is, had his arms wide open next to Scott Stapp, going in there on the sideline. It was perfect, man. Yes, they're in concert on Wednesday night. Tomorrow night. And yeah, I'm guessing we'll see Creed Humphrey at that concert. But that was pretty cool.
Do you think they'll play part of my song?
Not your song.
Will they play part of my song
Cody,
on
they have
Wednesday?
Scott Stapp there. They don't need your singing.
But if Creed Humphrey's there, they could play, just
maybe they
come on, just like this. Just Mitch Holtis right at the beginning.
Maybe they would do that or show a clip from our video shoot. It's been, how many years has it been now? 3?
3, I think.
3 years since we did that?
Sounds right. 3 years.
I think the Creed is Good campaign is 3 years old.
I mean,
look at, he's got a new contract. They've won a couple rings, and now Creed's meeting Creed.
By the way, someone asked me this. Like, do you think Creed Humphrey is a Creed fan? And I thought, him as a person, absolutely. He's from the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. That's prime Creed, the band territory, isn't it? Rock from the 2000s that everyone says they hate, but that people secretly like. Doesn't Spec like Creed or Nickelback or one of the two?
It's Creed and Three Doors Down.
Nickelback.
Nickelback's would like Creed and 3 Doors Down is.
Chiefs Kingdom, what is up?
Such a good
Scott
moment.
Stapp from Creed here.
That's my favorite moment.
So we hope you
I was like, where's the song at? Let's see.
make Creed the winner that he deserves.
Come on, this is from the actual video. Just play 10 seconds, Scott Stapp.
So tomorrow night, you've heard the commercials. You've heard the commercials on the station. It's like, they do the one night only Creed.
Oh, yeah.
3 Doors Down, T-Mobile Center.
You going?
No, I don't think so.
I don't have tickets. Someone got a
Yeah,
plus
I'll
one?
say
I'll make an effort.
I will be that guy right now. Tickets, tickets would need to be required. Also, I got my betting show tomorrow night before the 6 to 7. I could still make the concert.
Yeah, you'd
probably.
be fine.
Yeah.
You might miss some of 3 Doors Down, but
I like 3 Doors Down.
They'll probably play Kryptonite last, so
True.
You'll probably, the big hit song you'll probably get to hear. I think it's just so funny that, and look, there's an obvious tie-in. Maybe they would have made that connection somewhere along the way. Anyway, his name's Creed.
I don't know.
Their
I
band
don't know,
name's Creed.
man.
When we did that song, Creed the band wasn't even a band
Then they start.
anymore.
Now they're touring.
They'd broken up.
Now they're touring. They did a Creed cruise that sold out.
Yeah.
So they're back.
Now they're touring?
Scott Stapp was performing at remember, didn't it get rained out? But wasn't Scott Stapp doing halftime for like the Arizona Bowl game with Barstool Sports or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if the game got canceled. I think the game got canceled. That was
But he
when-
was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to continue your comment, Cody, by saying, so we're the reason why Creed is back together. If you were going to claim that the song is
I'll say the timing, at the very least, is quite coincidental. Scott Stapp was available for the low price of $300 to record that video for us, The very end of that one is so good. I don't have it pulled up.
Yeah, you see this top text. It's a good callback. A longtime listener, clearly, when someone said, 3 Doors Down, is that who sings Simple Man? LOL. That goes back to, I don't know, gosh, was that a year or so ago we had Simple Man? No, obviously. That was the, we were talking about Shine Down.
Shine Down.
Yeah. That's fine. That's a good callback. Well done, Texter. Well done. All right. Up next, we'll get to what's trending. Then I want to talk more about Hopkins. Plus, there's a new update from Jordan Schultz on what the Saints are looking for in a Marshawn Latimore trade.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You could build out a quick same-game parlay for Thursday Night Football. That's Drew's Bengals taking on the Baltimore Ravens. How about Derrick Henry to go over rushing yards? Derrick Henry for an anytime touchdown, and Joe Burrow to throw an interception, Drew. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to make every moment more this season. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Football and Fireball is a match made in heaven. And by heaven, of course we mean Twin Peaks. Head over to your favorite lodge and spice things up next game day with a shot of our favorite cinnamon whiskey. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hi, this is Toby Tobin along with Jason Goodenkoff from Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. Hi, Jason.
Hello, Toby.
Let's talk about the buying experience at Lewisburg Ford.
It's the best anywhere. Just ask all our customers, Toby. It is hands down the best experience you can have buying a new car. We have the no-hassle Toby Tobin price that we've had for 35 years now. Nobody else can say that. We've been saving Kansas City thousands and thousands of dollars for a lot of years.
I have been buying Ford cars and trucks from Lewisburg Ford for over 30 years, and I know personally this is the best place to buy a Ford car or truck. Great prices, but there's a whole lot more than that.
It doesn't just stop at price, Toby.
No.
There's other factors to this equation, and it's trade-in allowance, financing, and the experience of how knowledgeable the people are that you're dealing with. And we surpass everybody in all those areas. We always have. We always will. That's why calling us is important.
Do you have that new pickup?
Absolutely, and it's dynamite.
Okay. Lewisburg Ford is your best place to buy a Ford car or truck. What's your toll-free number?
816-444-2300.
Lewisburg Ford or LewisburgFord.com.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Choosing the best doctor for your eyes is one of the most important medical decisions you'll ever make. Whether you're considering blade-free LASIK, all laser cataract surgery, and premium lens implants, or want a world-renowned doctor to help with your glaucoma, macular degeneration, dry eyes, or diabetes, trust my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein. Call Silverstein Eye Centers to make an appointment, 816-358-3600. Experience the best eye care in Kansas City.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
What's up, KC? It's Trent McDuffie. Catch the play-by-play all season long with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your home of the Chiefs. 96.5, The Fan.
KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold is brought to you by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We teased it before the break about potential trades happening today with the trade deadline coming up at 3 o'clock. Adam Schefter reporting the New Orleans Saints are sending four-time Pro Bowler Marshon Latimore to the Washington Commanders. Saints, of course, had multiple teams interested, including the Chiefs, perhaps in acquiring Marshon Latimore. So a big move there for the Saints, yes, but also for the Washington Commanders. Reportedly, it is a day 2 pick. I haven't seen the exact compensation yet, but day 2 pick. Who knows exactly what that's going to be. We'll let you know.
Ian Rappaport said a third-rounder and more.
A third-rounder and more. Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a
I
steep
think
price
when we
for the
talked
Chiefs.
when we talked about Marshon Latimore in Kansas City, the concern for me was more the dollars for next year than it was necessarily even the draft pick compensation. But based on what we've heard from Nate Taylor and others, the Chiefs aren't trading for anybody that requires a day 1 or day 2 pick. And Marshon Latimore, as you said, Drew, Ian Rappaport saying a third-rounder at least, if not more, to get it done.
I don't think the Chiefs were ever in that range because it never seemed like they were ever willing to spend one of those 2 third-round picks. Other reports were that they wanted to hold on to those. But if you're the Commanders, you got Jaden Daniels looking like one of the better quarterbacks in the league in his rookie year. Well, then your window's wide open. Spend all the money you want. It makes sense. Next up on What's Trending, Chiefs winners last night over the Bucs in overtime. Big win for Kansas City, obviously, as they managed to get to 30 points for the first time all season long. Push their record up to 8-0. They'll get short rest. They'll have the Broncos coming up this Sunday at home at noon. A noon Sunday game. My favorite.
Yeah,
my personal
I'll
favorite.
be out there on Sunday, that's for sure. Mentioning more trades earlier today, Zadarius Smith
Huge deal
traded
for them.
to
Smart.
the Lions. We know they lost Aiden Hutchinson, so a big deal. He goes from the Browns to Detroit. Also, the Bengals added some depth at running back. Khalil Herbert, who is a backup running back for Chicago, is now going to back up Chase Brown, maybe split a little bit of the carries there. Also, the Cowboys, a surprising trade for former fairly top pick in the draft, Jonathan Mingo from Carolina.
I think Bigley was a big Jonathan Mingo guy.
Couple years of control, but Mingo has like 500 yards in his career and no touchdowns.
I'm surprised they gave him a 4th-round pick. I'll say that. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, they got Mingo in a 7th for a 4th. They get back a 4th.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Local college basketball last night. KU beat Howard 87-57. Missouri lost to Memphis 83-75. K-State will actually go tonight against New Orleans. You can hear that game over on our sister state, or just
Fan AM.
AM, over on 610. UMKC also winners. 91-68 over Hannibal LaGrange. Tight first half. Tighter than it needed to be first half. It was like a 4-point game, 8-point game at half or something. They just blew them out.
As far as Missouri, very similar to last year.
They're 0-2 already. Already.
Well, that's not even.
They're playing
I meant it more as they were up like 8 points in the second half on Memphis on the road, and then they couldn't hold a lead. How many times last year did they have second half leads in the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then they end up losing? That's the same. I mean, it looked identical to last year.
They're gonna stink.
We'll see. I'm not ready to say they're going to stink
they're
yet.
playing a lot of true freshmen. So
when I answer that question, I stand by it. UMKC has a better chance to make the NCAA tournament than Missouri.
I agree with that.
That is my hot take for the day. UMKC has a better chance to make the NCAA tournament.
I don't know if that's fair.
Than the University of Missouri.
I don't know if that's fair. They could finish 8th in the SEC or something and still get in the tournament. Missouri has to win the conference tournament. UMKC, could lose every regular season game or win every single regular season game, and it doesn't matter. That's they have to win the conference tournament.
Accurate.
That's the only problem. A lot of weird bleep can happen.
Well, Missouri's, I think they're going to be in the same boat, I think is my point. They're also going to have to win their conference tournament.
Okay, fair enough.
It's going to be a lot harder for them.
Fair enough.
They're not getting that large.
I'm not ready to say Missouri's just going to stink yet, though, after 2 games. For UMKC, they were picked in the preseason poll. Now, the odds will tell you they are not the favorite or the second favorite to win.
I don't care what Vegas thinks. I don't care
Don't
what they
put some
think
money
about
on
my
your
squad.
Roos.
I should.
Hey, you might be able to right before March Madness. That's right. Today, of course, Election Day. For those of you in Missouri, Amendment 2 would legalize sports betting. That's on the ballot today. Oh, yes, on 2.
I want to be able to bet in Missouri. So I've made that very clear. But also, just in general, go vote.
Sure.
Voting is important. It is I would say, civil obligation. If you are registered to vote, go vote. Yep. I did it on Saturday. Gold's going to do it after the show today. Can't speak for Drew. I'll just say he's going to. Well, I didn't ask him.
Damn.
So I don't know. I can't speak for him. I didn't ask him.
I'm assuming he's voting today.
Happened. All right.
So, you already
voted.
did.
There you go.
So, go vote. You want to tell us who you voted for?
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, Nate Taylor from The Athletics going to join us. We'll talk more about the NFL trade deadline, the Marshawn Latimore trade. Also, what it means for maybe a move in the next 2 hours or so in the NFL. Is that the last big? Is that the last big move in the NFL? Do we think there's is Adam Thielen getting moved? Zadarius Smith already got moved. Now Latimore, D-Hop's been moved. I mean, who else is getting moved today?
Ojulari's on the block.
The Giants maybe trade him.
If they trade Adam Thielen, this is not a joke question. Who will Bryce Young be throwing the football to?
Xavier Legette.
If you didn't,
honestly.
That's about it.
If you didn't already quit on him, just completely bail on his ass, start Andy Dalton, give up, throw in the towel. You're just not even going to give him a wide receiver to throw the ball to either?
That's why maybe they'll keep Thielen for that reason. Otherwise, I mean, it's a really pathetic wide receiver room if it's just Legette. I wonder if maybe they won't trade Adam Thielen for that reason you just pointed out.
They should just wait and then get Travis Hunter #1 overall or something.
I did see Mike Edwards. They're going to probably
the Bills.
He's asking to just get cut, so maybe that's the Chiefs edition. Just bring Mike Edwards back.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, that would work. Real quick, we got some more details on the exact trade, though, for Latimore. We want specifics. So the Commanders are trading a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th-round pick.
Dang.
Yeah. Latimore goes to the Commanders, and the Saints send a 5th. Okay. So Washington gets Latimore in a 5th. Saints get a 3rd, 4th, and a 6th.
Okay, so to be clear, the Chiefs were a stalking horse. They
weren't giving that up.
Pelissaro, Schefter. This is the Saints drumming up some interest for their guy, right? The Chiefs were not a serious buyer if that was the price.
Not if that was the actual
Who else would
asking
have
price.
been? I mean, that's
Commanders can do it because of their draft capital situation. They have a ton of cap space next year too. That's the other part that makes this deal happen. There is, I think, one other team maybe that has more cap space next year than the Commanders. They're towards top 5 cap space next year. They have a rookie quarterback. They don't have a ton of money on the books. They've traded away Chase Young last year. Right? I mean, in Montez Sweat. So they have flexibility, and they're ahead of schedule. I think Commanders would agree, and so they're going for it a little bit. They're in first. They're going to win that division this year.
They can afford. If this were Patrick Mahomes' rookie year, I'd say same thing. The price tag you're willing to give up at that point just varies a little bit. And they did have an extra 3rd-round pick because, for God knows what reason, someone gave them a 3rd-round pick for Jahan Dotson. Remember that was Howie Roseman, right? So they have an extra 3rd-round pick next year to give up for Latimore.
So they still have first,
because
second,
they
and
managed,
third round then.
because they managed to get rid of Jahan Dotson on that price tag. So kudos to them. I don't know which of the.
I don't know which Washington pick in the 3rd round.
Obviously, the Eagle one's.
Who is their GM again?
Well, actually, no.
Adam Peters. He was with the right-hand man for John Lynch and San Fran.
He's doing a great job.
It definitely gives you, if you're a team out there and you're asking for the dream scenario, how quickly can you turn around your franchise? First and foremost, got to have the right quarterback. That's what's happened. But they have a pretty good head coach in Dan Quinn. That's well respected. His defense has been stable. His defense has been good historically. Not great this year.
Finally have not disastrous ownership.
That's the biggest thing. They don't have a bad owner. They're about to get it. They're trying to get a new stadium in a couple years out there too. And obviously now that they're having success, that probably won't be as problematic.
When we had Vinnie on, our viNFL insider, he actually made a really good point about this. Our viNFL insider, who if you missed, you can catch on the podcast page at the 96.5thefan.com. When you look at that's the Jets' real problem. Woody Johnson stinks. Get a good owner. Get a good owner, and you know how I know he stinks? His team hasn't won in forever. Like, they do dumb things. They sell their soul for Aaron Rodgers, all those things. Get some decent, semi-decent ownership, and you can get somewhere. The Panthers got Tepper. He stinks. He's out here harassing bar owners for putting up signs about how he stinks. Right. He's a billionaire, and he can't help himself but be bothered by, like, people running a local bar. So, like, yeah, you get bad ownership. When you start there, man, you are kind of screwed. But quarterback, yeah, also probably doesn't hurt. Getting Jaden Daniels will cover a lot of words. I always think about that in Cleveland. Gilbert was always a terrible owner in Cleveland, and then he got LeBron James, and it was like, well, you know what, maybe no, he's still a terrible owner. He just had LeBron James. It covered a lot of problems.
Definitely did. Now, while we're talking trades, we know the Chiefs already made their big splash, though. That was DeAndre Hopkins, and boy, oh boy, you feel even better. Feel even better. Last night, the one catch in particular, even before we knew the final stat line of 8 catches, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns, when he caught that pass in triple coverage, yes, the ball was perfectly thrown. But I don't think there's another receiver on the roster that's capable of making that catch, tracking the football, avoiding contact too. He didn't even get lit up either. Like, that was the other beautiful thing about that catch for DeAndre Hopkins. And we also know he had the touchdowns. That trade mid-season now, it's almost have to laugh a little bit about the Chiefs being able to acquire a legit number one. Mahomes has a legit number one wide receiver again. He does. Yeah. We lost it with Rice, and they got it back. DeAndre Hopkins, he's good to go, man. Any of the worry about, he's not the same player anymore, the knee, nope. Everything I saw last night, that was DeAndre Hopkins that I've watched for many, many years in the NFL.
I was really impressed that they were able to get on the same page this fast. Obviously the catch he made was incredible. The fact that Mahomes was willing to throw it was the thing I was most impressed by. I know that sounds stupid, but, like, he's known the man for half an hour. And he threw a ball into triple coverage. And look, it was a dart by Mahomes. It's a perfect pass. But, I mean, he threw it into triple coverage into a receiver he is barely known because somehow inside of 2 weeks, he's already decided, I trust him more than any other wide receiver on my roster immediately. And that goes back to the same thing. Mahomes and crew, they know the same thing we know. That's a professional wide receiver. They got him inside the building for 10 days, Gold, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. I remember now, because the last time they truthfully had it was partially with Rashee Rice, but he's still a rookie and had to figure out how to get lined up right, and they're learning all this. He had to learn on the fly, Gold, but he's still a rookie. The last time I saw him trust a wide receiver like that was Tyreek Hill. DeAndre Hopkins is going to, and this is still a fun question, who do you think has more receiving yards the rest of the way, Travis Kelce or DeAndre Hopkins? I asked that question, remember, right after they traded for him.
Yeah.
Off to a hot start.
Travis
Kelce's got the lead because he had 100 yards and 90 yards, so 190 and we got about 110 for because he only had like 29 or whatever the first one. But still, it looks like a perfect fit. It's why we've been asking for this type of wide receiver forever. A body control guy who can catch with his hands. Maybe this is the final thing we need for Andy Reid to draft a type of player like this.
Well, that and they haven't had a receiver that is capable of tracking the football down the field like this since Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry. I understand that we're all very excited about Rashee Rice and what he does. That's not his specialty, though.
No.
He's a great route runner, underneath routes and yards after the catch and all that, but down the field tracking the football. That was a huge issue last year, whether it was McCole Hardman or MVS, tracking the football. They have not had anybody do that since Tyreek Hill. And DeAndre Hopkins fits that. Obviously, different body styles, but I'm just talking about tracking the football down the field. And we saw that on display yesterday. Not to mention, he's a matchup mess if you put him in the slot like they did in a quick slant for a touchdown like that. How are you guarding that if you're not? You're not, and that's why it resulted in that touchdown.
It's been really impressive. I assume at this point, and what you said is probably what stands out the most. They got a number one wide receiver. They had to spend a huge chunk of the season this year with no number one, no number two wide receiver, no number one running back. Their tight end wasn't the same guy the first couple of weeks, and they won. It didn't stop them from getting wins or winning games or all the things that come with it. They won. So they managed to accomplish it, at least across the board a little bit. But it still created this avenue where you're like, okay, maybe Hopkins would be good. I just wanted to, honest to God, I was just happy they had a serviceable wide receiver. Because when the other two guys went down, I'm like, oof, man, they got to be thrown to Justin Watson and Sky Moore and like a rookie and Xavier Worthy. I'm like, man, they don't even have just like like Juju went down. I'm like, damn, That was like, all I was wanting out of DeAndre Hopkins was like, just be like Juju. Just be serviceable. Just be a guy who can like run an in cut for 7 yards and stand where you're supposed to stand. And what it looks like through 2 games is they got a lot more than that in DeAndre Hopkins. That's why I'm excited. They overgot that is what it appears like.
Yeah. If someone says Rasheed isn't the same skill set as Hopkins, that's exactly what I'm saying. 100%. That's what nobody else on this team can make the type of catches that Hopkins is capable of. That's what's exciting about it. And if there was any concern of Hopkins just not being the same receiver, those should be put to rest. Guy had 1,000 yards a year ago, and you can see why. And if who knows what his final stat line is going to look like in Kansas City. But there's a chance, despite how slow of a start it was in Tennessee, there's a chance he still ends up with over 700-800 yards this year.
He's got 173
there really
now.
is. Like, would it stun you if I told you he ends up with 700 or 800 yards when this season is done?
No.
It shouldn't.
They traded for him week 6.
Yeah, this is only his second game.
Yeah.
His third game will be on Sunday.
After 6 games, yeah.
Yeah.
His third game in Kansas City.
It's definitely in the cards based on how last night went.
I mean, it's not a question. Again, if it's, and I'd still take Travis Kelce as the answer, even if you made me start from now.
I hear you.
He's got an 80-yard lead now. But if you made me start fresh now,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably still take Travis Kelce. But the fact that they have 2 people who someone has to guard matters.
Well,
and Noah Gray's still kind of tough, and Xavier Worthy can get downfield. They've got some things they can do.
Hollywood Brown back.
We can.
Colt does a job.
We can dream. To your point, Drew, we can dream a little bit later on in the season. One here in the next week or so, Juju's back, so that helps. But maybe, just maybe, come playoff time, they have a D-Hop wide receiver room with Hollywood Brown in some role, with Juju, all of a sudden, and Worthy, all of a sudden, that looks pretty darn good heading into the postseason if that's what they have. Pacheco and Kareem Hunt splitting carries. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a chance they could be, an elite level offense. Where are they at right now after points per game?
They were 11th heading into last night.
So
they scored over 30,
10th?
so they probably bumped up a little bit.
Maybe, but not much. It's still 8 games, probably 9th or 10th.
Well, the thing, too, about I think that is they're just coming off of injury, but Pacheco's legs are fresh. Hollywood Brown's legs are fresh. So it's not like they've had that run of having, like, especially
Hollywood
Brown.
can still run. He can condition. He just can't use his arms.
I'm just saying in terms of, like, playing games and getting hit and all that stuff. Like, he's clean. Like, he hasn't been beaten and battered throughout the season. I mean, he's 17 less games than everybody else is going to have been at that point. So I think that's something definitely that could be, I guess, a breath of fresh air with that offense.
So somebody's pointing out in the text and saying, hey, Justin Watson had a big game. This is the whole point, is once they have a qualified wide receiver, this is like the Freddie Fermin thing in the regular season for the Royals. Every time Freddie Fermin came up, you're like, damn, he looks good. When used correctly, when used the proper amount of time, Justin Watson has a role. McCole Hardman has a role. Xavier Worthy has a role. Our problem was when Xavier Worthy, for a game because of the injuries, had to get 9 targets.
Yeah.
That's not Xavier Worthy yet. Our problem was when Justin Watson got to get 8 targets. That's not Justin Watson. If you use them the right way, we're having a very different conversation.
Another trade just went down in the NFL. This from Jordan Schultz, another wide receiver on the move. The Jets are trading wide receiver Mike Williams to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You'll love what the compensation is. Makes you feel even better about D-Hop. A 5th-round pick. The Chiefs, once again, traded a 5th round, could be a 4th with conditions, for D-Hop. Steelers traded a 5th for Mike Williams.
I mean, how is it that the Chiefs got the best deal on the market?
There's always the balance of do you jump the line early, get it done early, or do you wait?
Well, and
sometimes sometimes it pays off.
Yeah. Changed the market too.
It did. You jump the line, it pays off sometimes. Not always.
They didn't have a choice.
But Pittsburgh has Mike Williams with George Pickens. Another big body receiver. We know Russell Wilson just likes to throw the ball up in the air and hope and pray a little bit.
He's so tired of hearing moonball.
Moonball to Pickens. Now they can have a moonball to Mike Williams. And I can promise you this, say what you will about Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson will not publicly call out Mike Williams in a press conference when he's the one that made a mistake. So good for Mike Williams to get out of there.
I can't believe Mike Williams stuck around that long.
Mike Williams is going to go to the playoffs this year. He wasn't going to go to the playoffs in New York, I don't think.
If you're the Steelers, I think obviously they got what they felt they needed, but you in a way have to be sick to your stomach because the Steelers were in the conversations for needing a wide receiver around the same time as what the Chiefs. It was when the Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins. So you give up the same amount from Mike Williams, who is at least at this point a significantly inferior receiver compared
Always
to
was.
DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah.
Like, I mean, Mike Williams had a nice career, but he's never been the level of DeAndre Hopkins in this league.
100%.
He had, 2,000-yard seasons kind of sprinkled in there?
He's
and
been injured a lot
LA.
throughout, yeah.
Yeah, Mike Williams was coming off an ACL injury.
He has 166 yards this year, and they give up a fifth. Now, look, DeAndre Hopkins had a similar number of yards, or less, or whatever. But, I mean, yeah.
It just goes into the same thing as last week, where I think Cody, you were not here. Bink was in, but the rest of the league is just incompetent when it comes to every theoretical thing that can happen. And the Chiefs are very, very good at everything else in terms of decision making, in terms of coaches calling out fans, in terms of quarterback decisions, in terms of trades. Everything else just seems to, in a way, I guess, partially fall the Chiefs' way, where other teams are behind the 8 ball and they don't get a deal done in time, and they have to settle for paying the same price for a player that's not as good as the one that the Chiefs got.
Chiefs got the best deal on the entire wide receiver market. Like, bang for buck. They got the single best deal on the wide receiver market. They got DeAndre Hopkins, a former 5-time Pro Bowler, for a fifth. And it's a fourth if they go to the Super Bowl. And at that point,
who cares?
No one cares.
I mean, that's just not the exact. I mean, the exact same compensation. It's wild. I mean, that's
Mike.
Brad Veach just continues to run circles around the National Football League. That's what it is. He's the best GM in football. I don't want to hear anything about other GMs have done a nice. I don't want to hear anything though. This is just add this to the long list. This is like the Mahomes conversation.
Yep. I don't feel like you're a serious person if I have to have a conversation about why Brad Veach is the best GM in the league. You'd be like, well, he's got Mahomes. I'm like, come on, man. Just look at all the moves. Look at all the drafting. Look at all the people doing it. Like, I can't do this with you. I can't do this with you. You and I we all have to accept 2 things about the NFL. 3 things, actually. Andy Reid is the best coach. If you argue outside of that, you're an idiot. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. If you argue outside of that, you're an idiot. And Brad Veach is the best GM. There's a reason why they are the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions and are 8-0.
Yeah, they have everything working perfectly, top to bottom of the organization.
And a top defense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, but just in terms of just the structure of the organization, everybody's on the same page. You're not hearing any stories like you do in some other markets with certain teams and disconnect between ownership and GM or GM and coach or whatever. No, everything is in sync. Everything.
Harmony.
I'm just speaking for all the other teams that are not the Chiefs who hate what's going on because they have also the best corner. They have the best defensive tackle.
Yeah.
One of the best running backs. I can rattle off all the reasons why everybody else hates the Chiefs.
I mean, they really do have the best defensive tackle
that you mentioned.
They are the best at what they do, not at having
best defensive coordinator.
Worst at having stools. They were pretty bad at that. They got
yeah,
rocks to the bottom of the league.
I can't wait till I can't wait till early March when the player survey comes out and people try to act like it actually and people actually think it matters at all. It doesn't. I always say with the player grades, all we needed to remember is pull up the old tweet from Chris Jones. The day after he got his new contract, he tweeted out jokingly, but it's all I needed to see. Clark Hunt, A+ owner, and that was right after the player grades came out. Ultimately, the players like the owner if they are getting paid what they think they should be getting paid.
And then he got paid. So
Clark Hunt, A+ owner.
Of course.
And as a fan, honestly, like it's not impacting player signing here. I don't know why you should like when Clark Hunt's out here getting like a whatever it was a D- or whatever it was F.
Dude, he got an F.
Like that's I laugh honestly. Absolutely, it's laughable.
You know how hard it is to get an F in 2024? They don't hand those out in school anymore.
It was laughable. 2 years in a row. I don't like. You're right. The grades will come out, and I'll say the exact same thing. Then, as I said last year, it's a waste of time. They don't mean anything. Just don't
best
mean
organization in
they
all
don't
4 major pro
mean
sports.
Anything. It's something NFLPA can put out and make their members feel better about themselves, I guess. But it doesn't really mean anything.
Gonna get that new practice facility one of these days.
Well, when they eventually get a new stadium. Up next, one thing that Andy showed in the second half that I think will likely continue now that it actually was successful. We'll explain what that is, plus the random question of the day. It's Cody and Gold on 96.5 The Fan.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
After working with Max Motors and driving a brand new truck up to St. Joe for camp a couple years ago, I know where I'm going for my next vehicle. My car is about 10 years old. It is almost that time. And Max Motors has the best financing options available with the highest trade-in values in the Midwest. I've been shopping around online at maxmotors.com. You can do the same thing and take advantage of the largest heavy-duty sale of the year. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. Max Motors, your Midwest dealer. See dealer for details.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
It's Bob Fesco, and I'm here with my friend Brian Manning of Manning Roofing. We know you guys are the best in the business when it comes to the roofing industry, but what truly separates you from everybody else?
We have a great group of people that take care of our homeowners. Our number one goal is homeowner satisfaction, and we won't compromise the quality of our materials or the quality of our labor to do that.
If you want to set up an appointment with Manning Roofing like I did, check them out at manninggc.com or 816-448-8208. Manning is my one-stop shop for roofs, gutters, siding, and windows. The choice is simple. It's Manning Roofing.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. At Diamonds Direct, there's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Who else does this? There's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at bluekc.com.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon.
You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Shop Dell Technologies' early holiday savings event for their lowest prices of the year. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. Early holiday savings is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sounds like wipers. If your wipers are streaking, skipping, chattering, or even worse, loud, you need to visit AutoZone and get some fresh new blades. We've got basic wipers to get you back on the road, as well as premium blades from Bosch and Rain-X. So if you're hearing this, just head to your nearest AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Chiefs coverage on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by award-winning Johnny's Barbecue in Olathe.
Football and barbecue fans, score big with Johnny's Barbecue tailgate packages. Whether you're hosting a home gate or a tailgate, Johnny's Barbecue has you covered. Check out our tailgate packages at johnny'sbbqkc.com. Located in Olathe and serving all of KC. Johnny's Barbecue. Taste the smoke.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, we'll get to the random question of the day here in 15 minutes or so. Also, Nate Taylor from The Athletic coming up in 25 minutes. One of his colleagues over at The Athletic just sent out a tweet during the break. While there's still some time on the clock, I don't expect the Chiefs to be making any more moves before the trade deadline. They tried to make it happen with the Saints for Marshawn Latimore, but it obviously did not work out. That is the latest from Diana Rossini. So based on that, don't expect anything before the 3 o'clock deadline, but you never know. But seeing the compensation, as we discussed, that the Commanders gave up for Latimore, I don't think the Chiefs were ever in that real ballpark of pulling it off. I think they called, but actually getting close to getting
based
it done.
on the price tag?
No.
Stalking horse, I'm telling you.
Yeah, the Saints were trying to bump the price up.
And successfully did, I would say, based on the number.
Well, and some of the reporting out of D.C. is suggesting that the Commanders got in on this late. Like last night, they weren't necessarily trading for Latimore, and suddenly this morning things changed. They found out where they were at, and they had more to offer compensation-wise to make the trade happen. They could beat just about anybody's offer. They had the extra third-round pick. You referenced the Jahan Dotson trade. So and it sounds like they gave up their original pick, not the Eagles picks.
Which they're both about the same range right now. Just kind of depends on where you end up being. I'm guessing the team trading for you will be like, well, Eagles will probably go for the. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I thought I saw, and that doesn't matter. I thought it was 20 pick difference because I don't think the Eagles sent. I don't think the Eagles sent their pick. I could be wrong. I don't think it was the Eagles pick. It was somebody else's pick they sent. I don't know. Way too far the rabbit hole. But yeah. Anyway, Marshawn Latimore off the board, but Diana Rossini reporting the Chiefs will not be active before the deadline after already trading for DeAndre Hopkins. The other thing with last night's game, though, I thought was pretty evident was when this team offensively at its best, it involves running the football. I know the numbers. Travis Kelce went off last night. D-Hop went off last night. You know who also went off last night? Kareem Hunt in the second half in particular. There was a point in that first half, 9 carries. That was it to running backs. Carson Steele had a couple. Kareem Hunt had like 7 in the first half. They were not running the ball effectively. Vita Vea was eating them up in the passing attack. 4 sacks in the first half the Bucs had. And then in the second half, we saw the Chiefs go back to the run. I felt like they didn't push that enough early on. And whether it was adjustment, whether it was a concerted effort. I thought it was a good sign that Andy was willing to go back to running the football. And that's the big reason why the offense got going again. I don't think it's a coincidence that they started to move the ball. They ran the ball 3 straight times in the second half, opened some things up for Travis Kelce, for DeAndre Hopkins. And that's why they, to me, moved the ball, period, in the second half, was the running game. And Kareem Hunt ends up with, 100 yards when it was all said and done?
I'm really impressed considering how that first half went. I was like, oh, no. We spent this entire time talking about how hard it was going to be on offense for the Bucs if they can't run the ball against the Chiefs. And then all of a sudden, it was the Chiefs who couldn't run the ball. And we found out pretty quick. The Chiefs need to be able to run the ball to have an effective offense. I wouldn't say that that's the case in every single year for them. It's not. Some years they don't require that. Some years they can just pass it, and the run game is kind of a supplementary addition to this where you're like, oh, that's cool. We like running it. It's kind of fun. But it's not the end-all, be-all to their success or lack of success. Last night, it simply was. The second they started, they had 10 points midway through the third quarter. That's it. They had 10. They had the 3 from the first quarter, the touchdown that they got to DeAndre Hopkins in the second quarter, and then it was nothing until midway through the third quarter when they finally started moving the ball. And no, I do not think that it was an accident that it came on the same drive that they started giving the ball to Hunt, who, did finish with 27 carries for 106 yards. They got 14 points in the third quarter. They got the extra 6, or 14 points in the fourth quarter, and then the extra 6 in overtime. They scored 3 of their final 4 possessions, and Kareem Hunt was a massive part of that.
Yeah, tough physical run. And then there was the second down before the touchdown for Mahomes, or the Mahomes had with the injury. Right before that, then they got cued again. It's like you're playing tough physical football, and then they tried the jet pass to Cole Hartman or whatever. And that kind of got lost in the shuffle because the very next play they got a touchdown when they flipped fields, and then Mahomes got hurt, so everybody was obviously keying in on that, which was still just a wild moment.
It's such a good play by him. We're not even going to talk about it because the play was like, it was the same thing he did against the Bucs.
Oh, well,
with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year.
Yeah, it was similar. I also thought it was similar, reminded me of what he did to the Raiders last week when he had that touch pass to P. Ryan on the scramble where, last minute he
people
adjusted.
are biting on the leg, so he's starting to throw it.
And, of course, that moment of the potential injury, or it wasn't a real injury, but potentially could have been devastating. I had not felt that way since the Broncos dislocated kneecap game, man. And for that 60 seconds or so, I thought Mahomes was done. I thought he was done. I thought the season was done, and Carson Wentz was starting to warm up. I'm like, oh boy,
they had 2 people on either side of his shoulders. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, we've seen him roll up his ankle before and limp off.
Need a little help.
But that was the first time since the Broncos game where we saw serious medical attention. He couldn't, he struggled to get up off the field. And fortunately, we all know the rest is history. He's fine. He's got a bad ankle again, and it's probably going to be something that he deals with the rest of the season now.
By the way, we don't think Kareem Hunt's been great. And I see on the text line, I'd be like, I'd take Hunt over Pacheco's running back.
No.
I'm not there.
Split it. They should be splitting the ball when Pacheco comes back.
But that, yeah.
Well, for their sake of both of them. Keep Kareem Hunt fresh. We also don't know what Pacheco's going to be coming back from.
You need 2 more years of Pacheco on the rookie deal, right? You want to be able to get the most out of him if you're the
one
Chiefs.
more, right?
Or 1 more. Oh, God, this is
I think it's
3.
one. I think it's one.
Yeah, I think it's one.
Sorry, I apologize.
But no, you're good. But point applies still. I think it's about keeping him fresh for the playoffs. And you just don't know when you're dealing with an ankle injury that required surgery. I think they put pins in his ankle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if it was a plate as well, but either way, that kind of injury, you don't know. We don't know for sure what Pacheco's going to be. I hope he's the same guy. I think for the sake of Hunt and Pacheco, it would be awesome if they have a 50-50, 60-40 type of split.
Yeah, I think that I just don't know why you wouldn't. They are effective, but they're different style. Kareem Hunt is here's the truth. Kareem Hunt at his prime, probably more impressive to me than what I've seen out of Pacheco in his prime. But Pacheco can learn from Kareem Hunt the same way you talk about. Pacheco's ability to see a gap, stay in that gap, move through space is better than Pacheco's. Pacheco's is just the more explosive player still. And so if you're giving me the choice, I think there's a great balance between those two where you take Samaje Perine out of the mix on these third down pass blocking, could be run pass, could be throw whoever situations. Immediately that becomes Kareem Hunt's job, and everybody is better for it.
I think this also, knowing that you have Pacheco coming back potentially at the end of the month, is why they're willing to run the ball with Kareem Hunt, give him 22 carries and wear him down. Because he's taking a beating. Andy joked about the ice bath.
27.
I mean, 27 last night, tied for his season high. He had 27 carries last night, 27 against New Orleans as well. I mean, his body's getting beat up. If you didn't have Pacheco coming back, I would be saying, they better start working in Carson Steele or P. Ryan or remember, Clyde's been inactive.
I know.
He's eligible to come back, but he's just been flat out inactive. So he hasn't even been part of the equation, and it's because they're riding the hot hand and they feel confident there. But it will be nice later in the season. You get Pacheco slowly ease back in, and once again, it's all about the playoffs. Come playoff time, you have a healthy 1-2 punch, hopefully both fresh because you ease back on the workload.
Juju, DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worth. I mean, like, all of the offensive stuff is, like, coming together. Absent tackle, where you'd be like, okay, how do we play better on the offensive line? Vita Vea.
He's a great player. Great player, too.
Yesterday. Yeah, he is. He caused some problems yesterday. There's almost no doubt about that. But, yeah, I told you earlier, and I think this is what made me feel better about it, is I've covered the Chiefs a long time. I used to joke when I first started being on radio in Kansas City. I had made a campaign where I wanted to be able to apply for a job working for the Chiefs staff, and my only job as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff was to hold up a sign to remind Andy Reid that Jamal Charles existed. Like, just real quick, I got a sign to be like, Jamal's on your team. Just a real quick tip, Andy. Even in times when he had one of the single most athletic running backs I've ever seen, he'd forget to run the ball. When he had Brian Westbrook, he'd be accused of that in Philadelphia. It would have been very easy, based on the first half success that they had and that it was still a close game, to not go back to the run. And he did the opposite. Kareem Hunt essentially instead had like 20 second half carries. It was the opposite of forgetting about the run. He went back and leaned on it. That was one of the few times where I'm like, okay, a tiger can change its stripes. Like, I felt so good after that game.
They needed to do it
because he went back to the run and it worked.
They're at their best when they have that going too. I understand you have Patrick Mahomes. You want to pass the ball 22 times in the first half, but got to be able to run the football for this iteration of the offense. You're gonna have to run the football, and fortunately, Kareem Hunt's been allowing them to have that success.
Someone says they're calling it now. 40 on Denver. The offense is clicking now. I mean, they just got 40 hung on them. They better have a little pride. They just got 40 hung on them by the Ravens.
Yeah.
Points per game defense-wise, somebody said, wait, are the Broncos still top 5, even though they just let up 40
after
points?
this? I don't know.
They are. They're actually still ahead of the Chiefs in points per game. They're third at 17.9. They must have been letting up nothing up to that point, because the last one was pretty bad, obviously, when they got their teeth kicked in. We'll get into that game later on. I will say, you've given Drew a very hard time.
Yes.
For talking about
Cody's trying to act like he's never said anything to you. I love this.
I feel like it's more personal between you two. I try to tell you, this is simply only a football thing. It isn't about you or getting a rise out of you or picking on you. I would say this about any team, even if it wasn't Cincinnati, if they had done those things. I just think they're fraudulent. That's all. I think they're a fraudulent team.
I think, you know what I think, though? I think Drew and some folks at ESPN were texting yesterday.
Oh, you think I have some people's numbers?
I think you and Rex Ryan and Mike Greenberg might have been texting. Either that or they're big fans of our show. Welcome. Because listen to this.
Here, as we look at the AFC, we will see Kansas City tonight. They're unbeaten. They remain the standard. And they've beaten Cincinnati this year, and they've beaten Baltimore this year, and they will play Josh Allen and the Bills in a few weeks. If you tell me right now there's one quarterback/team that you would bet on, and you've been pretty good. Your underdogs have been good all year. Yesterday was the first dog of the week that you lost this entire season.
Devastating.
On Sunday NFL Countdown. If I told you right now, which one of those teams and quarterbacks are you picking to go into Arrowhead and beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game in January of this year? Which one are you
here's
doing?
the thing. I mean, first off, Baltimore is going to be that team that gets the opportunity. Okay?
That you believe they will be the last one standing?
I absolutely do. I can tell you who Kansas City doesn't want to see, and that's Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Why? They've done it. That team has done it. Joe Burrow, they don't flinch. For some reason, that Lou Anarumo, the defense coordinator for Cincinnati, always has a great plan against Kansas City. And Joe Burrow is the man when he goes in there. And so, to me, that's the one Kansas City doesn't want to see. I think they're going to see Baltimore.
So that was Rex Ryan. So he also, first of all, agrees that Baltimore possibly is the AFC title game against Kansas City. So he's even admitting he doesn't think Cincinnati's getting there. Let me make that very clear before you get all excited. All right? Let me get that before you get all.
There is someone who says if Cincinnati got to the postseason, they wouldn't want to see Kansas City.
Yeah, so he's partially with you. You're a little more confident than him. You're already predicting playoff wins. Rex Ryan was just asked if there was an AFC title game, who would you prefer? I still think the Burrow thing is funny. Cincinnati is hanging on to something from 3 years ago, and it's pretty funny. They've lost 3 straight to Kansas City. So saying Joe Burrow is, he said Joe Burrow. What do you say? Joe Burrow is the man. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Just checking.
Since 2021, I'm going to give
Mahomes has beat them 3 straight games. Mahomes has won 2 rings since the last time Cincinnati has won an AFC title game. We didn't even know who you were.
Joe Burrow didn't play in one of them. Joe Burrow didn't play in one of them.
You were living in Florida.
He played in the playoff games,
and all of them were by last-second field goals. So let's
again,
not.
I hate
but his win was the last-second field goal.
We've got to the one thing. It's not personal, Cody, but the one thing that will drive me crazy is every time we talk about Cincinnati, you've got to stop saying they only lost by a point. It was a freaking loss, dude. We got to stop with the 2 or 3 point margin or what they lost in the playoffs. I don't care if you win by 30 or win by 1.
There's too much disrespect though for Joe Burrow, I think, from just Chiefs fans in general. For Joe Burrow, because look, the Bengals defense, they stink.
Yeah, they do.
But for what Joe Burrow does, particularly in the month of November, I know everybody talks about Mahomes. November is great. Joe Burrow, since 2021, is first in the league in completion percentage, yards per attempt, so he's not dinking and dunking, and QBR.
Nice.
There is one quarterback that has gone in to Arrowhead and won a game when it matters. That's why I say the Ravens, if the Chiefs play the Ravens again, the Chiefs will win by 10+ points, because what they do well, the Ravens, the Chiefs do better at stopping. And everybody says the Ravens didn't play that great in week 1. The Chiefs didn't either.
I will say the problem
There's one
is
team that they don't want to see, and it has to be the Bengals, because there's
a
one
4-win football team. They're not accidentally the only thing is it does though, Drew, because what we're referencing is stuff that I disagree. 2 years ago is what you're holding on to. This year's team, you've said it more than anybody. That's not the same defense. So Rex Ryan bringing up Anarumo having their number. In week 2, the Chiefs still did score 26 points. It's actually against Cincinnati.
Defensive touchdown is one of them.
But again, we're just now having new qualifiers.
All I'm telling you is that there's one play that lost them the game, and it was a pass interference, and they gave up a defensive touchdown on a fumble return.
And that's
Lou,
football.
for whatever reason, can scheme well for the Chiefs, but not well for anybody else.
But they're not accidentally a 4-win team, though, right? That's where I'm getting at. It's the fact they were even having this conversation on their show. They're a 4-1 football team, and it's November 5th. And we're acting like somehow they should be fearful of playing them in the AFC title game.
Because
they're a 4-win football team.
Here's the problem, Drew. I think your point of they should fear them because they're the only team who got them kind of proves the point, though. Of all active quarterbacks, the only other guy who got him was Tom Brady, who's now retired and has been for years. So from the 7 years Patrick Mahomes has been the starter, one team got him once. 2 teams technically got him twice.
I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is
better
better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you that there is one team that has beaten Patrick Mahomes. So this is not a Burrow versus Mahomes conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
Mahomes is the best quarterback, for my money, to ever play the game. But when it comes down to it, Josh Allen has played great, but I'd be more worried about the Bills and the Bengals than the Ravens if I was the Chiefs, because if the Bengals make it, it's a new season. It doesn't matter that they barely made it.
Sure.
They're in.
Final follow-up, though. When does that fade? The having beaten the Chiefs once.
Sounds like
they face each other in the postseason this year. The Chiefs win again.
Then it's
We're
over.
3 years removed. There is a statute of limitations on this thing where eventually that one time you got them doesn't really matter.
If they play again in the playoffs and the Chiefs win, it's over. Last year, they played Jake Browning, and it was a game before the playoffs started. There have been 2 games that they've played in the playoffs. It's been an AFC title game, and it's come down to the very end. Mahomes has won. Burrow has won. To me, it's the conversation that you guys bring up all the time. The regular season, if the Bengals would have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season, it would not have mattered at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. If they win in the playoffs, then the conversation, I think, where you hold on to all of that is over. And if the Bengals win, then they're right back into the conversation just like they were in 2021.
Okay.
Got it.
I just think that if the Bengals make it at 9-8, I think that that's a team that nobody would want to play because of the capabilities that Joe Burrow and that offense have. More than the Steelers, more than the Bills, more than the Ravens. I think the Bengals would be just as dangerous as anybody else.
But they haven't been losing games. Nobody's arguing about Cincinnati's offense. They have 4 wins and their offense has been great. But they have 4 wins, meaning there's another problem. So it's not as simple as you don't want to face Cincinnati's offense in the playoffs. there's a reason why they would, in your scenario, still be a 9-8 football team in the playoffs because they're a very flawed football team. This is not if Cincinnati makes the playoffs, they are not the same Cincinnati of 2 years ago, and I think that's what I'm arguing is like they're not the juggernaut and scary team that they might have been in 2021, and it seems like we're acting like they're the exact same team that they were in 2 teams.
They're way better than they were in
but
2021.
But their defense was top 5.
Yeah.
And so they're not as good of a football team. I think they're irrelevant. We already talk about them way too much on this show, I think. But
we've brought
again, I hope Baltimore just buries them on Thursday and ends this and puts Cincinnati fans out of their misery so they can stop having false hope.
The Bengals should have won that game too a few weeks ago.
We got to stop with the shoulda won stuff. Oh, that thing was driving me.
Which one?
Oh my goodness!
They missed a field goal.
Can we stop with this though? This is like an all sports thing. I don't care if it's college basketball and your team or my team loses in the tournament. This almost won, almost lost stuff. Wins and losses. Almost this. I don't care.
For one game, I don't care. Like for one game, I think I listen to the argument. Like if we're talking about in this, but like over the course of a season, if you've almost won the other 4 games you've lost, or 5 games you've lost. What are they? 4 and 5?
5 games.
5 games they've lost.
Like KU football, my alma mater, they've almost won a bunch of games. You know what they haven't done? Won those games. That's why they stink this year.
But they haven't won a game that's relevant ever.
Who, the Bills?
The Kansas Jayhawks. When's the last game that was relevant?
The example was not a historical example. It was this year. It was not a historical example, Drew.
The Bengals beat the Chiefs to go to a Super Bowl.
My point was not a historic example. It was literally about close games.
If we're talking about their history, they won that Orange Bowl once.
But going back to the original point of what Greeny said.
They absolutely did, which is more than a couple of the other local schools.
Going back to the point, though, of what we originally talked about with Greeny, there is one team that I think you should be more nervous about because they've shown up in the big moment, and that's the Bengals. That's why we've talked about all the time who's the bigger threat to the Chiefs. The Bengals, if they make the playoffs, are in that conversation just as much as anybody else you can mention.
The truth is, if we look at the AFC, I think this is the mistake we've made with Burrow. Not you in general, just in general, the way they talk about him from that moment is fundamentally everybody who challenges the Chiefs has done the exact same thing. One team just won a close game and the other one's lost it. The Ravens, the Bills, and the Bengals have all had one chance in an AFC title game to get past Kansas City. One did successfully do it, but we're talking about one game. Like individualizing a fear of a team because of an individual game is not worth it to me.
All right, let's get to a quick random question of the day.
Random question.
You can go follow us over on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, The Fan 965. If you'd like to see Gold's video reaction to Drew saying that the game was close, you can do that over at The Fan 965. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever, right? It all exists. We could probably go back and
forth. Would you rather have just got their ass kicked so I wouldn't talk about it?
All right, so today I'm going to ask you a question because I got called weird for this. I've already told people you should go vote today. It's important. It's a civic duty to go do that. I brought headphones with me. I bring headphones anytime I'm going to be in public running an errand. So the question I have for you today is, if you are running an errand, how often do you bring headphones? If it is going to be a longer grocery trip, I'm going to be standing in line in a voting, I'm going to be by myself at my kid's swim lesson while he does other things, headphones. 100% of the time, I hardly ever travel anywhere without them. So what I want to know is, how often do you bring headphones if you're running around?
Yeah, rarely. My AirPods, it's an airport thing.
Only a travel thing?
Yeah.
I wear all the time.
Yeah, it's a travel thing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a travel
thing.
thing.
So like if you're gonna be somewhere by yourself for an hour and you don't have anyone to talk to, something like that, you don't pop in the air.
I'm gonna go vote after the show. If for some reason it's gonna be a half hour or whatever,
you're just gonna stare at your phone. With no
I
sound
guess
on?
I have my AirPods with me, but that's not like I would not normally wear AirPods. I just look at my phone or something.
I had to take them off because I ended up being near listeners in the voting line, so I had to.
I just like this. Interesting. I want the text line on this. So you will go to the grocery store and wear them. You'll go to.
If I'm just running in for a loaf of bread, no.
Yeah.
But if I'm making a full grocery trip and I'm going inside, and it's just me. Not if I'm.
What if you're waiting in like a doctor's office? You're wearing AirPods? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay.
I wear over the ear. The AirPods will stay in my ear, but
fair enough. Yeah.
But
just airport. It's just a travel thing. I think if I lived in a big city that had subway and and stuff like transportation, I probably would wear it on the subway to work or whatever, right? If I lived in Chicago or New York City or something like that, if traveling purposes would be the only time I wear my AirPods.
Somebody says only at the airport. Someone says basically never. I do wear them at the gym though. Someone said all the time. I don't want to talk to anybody. Someone says never. You never know when something's going to hit the fan out there. I was like, well, but I guess I just take, like, this is also like a gender thing. I'm sure if you're a lady and feel unsafe at times, you probably don't have headphones on all the time. But, like, if I'm going for, like, a ride up, like I went up for a ride on my bike, like, last week. I put headphones on for that, too. I go run an errand, I put headphones on. If I'm around the house and, like,
really?
the kids are actively doing something, but I'm going to clean and I'm going to run the vacuum, I'll put music or stuff on in there, too.
You can't hear your kids at all.
Well, I mean, it's not like I can't see them. I don't live in a mansion. So, right, it's not like I can't.
I love the
find my
AirPods on
children.
the plane for the music, or if I'm watching Netflix, is also the AirPods have the I don't know what the feature's called, but noise canceling for the plane. Like it's way so much quieter.
Mine are noise canceling too.
It's so much better.
Someone said they wear them. I mean, like it seems like it's a varied amount. Someone says they wear their AirPods when they're getting their hair cut. They're just tuning out.
I guess you're not cutting there. I guess that could work.
I worry about.
I have a conversation.
rudeness
I
of
have a
that.
conversation with my barber. Like I've gotten my hair cut from the same person for 2 years now.
So I brought him to vote, but then I was in a conversation, and it felt like at no point once you started the conversation was it not going to feel rude to just be like, well, you're going to put these. So like I was stuck, no headphones at that point, right? Like you're going to have the conversation with the people around you once you're committed to it. I just didn't think I talked to anybody.
Up next, Nate Taylor from The Athletic expected to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the trade deadline. 2 hours to go. Does he agree that nothing else is going to happen? And how close next on Cody and Gold?
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
It's been rainy in Kansas City. Rain, what does that do? Tell you about the health of your roof. Century Roofing has been doing roofs in Kansas City for 34 years, and they want to do a health checkup on yours to make sure you're okay. I didn't come out before winter. A couple small repairs, just enough to make sure that I'm good going forward before down the road I'll need that full roof replacement. Whether you need repairs or a full roof replacement, Century Roofing has done over 30,000 roofs in the Kansas City area. Has been voted best of Johnson County for 3 straight years. So it's a company you know you can trust. Someone might knock on your door the next time it hails. Someone probably did over this summer. Was like, I'll take care of it. No, trust a company that is locally owned and operated, been working for 30 plus years in Kansas City, and will handle that with professionalism. And they like to do good for people. Century Roofing is launching their Gift of Christmas campaign benefiting Operation Breakthrough. So they're going to donate a portion of all profits on roof repair and replacements through the 4th quarter of this year just to make sure those people in need get taken care of. If you are in need of a new roof, not sure if you're in need of a new roof, well then schedule your estimate today. From KC-based and female-owned Century Roofing, trust the pillars of strength. Go to centuryroofingkc.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at bluekc.com.
Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? It means everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom, and ready to do the same for you.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Hey, friends, it's noisy out there with information coming at us all day, every day. It's hard to know what to trust, and the world of wealth management is no exception. That's why UMB Private Wealth Management helps you tune out the noise and tune into what matters most. They'll create a financial plan based on your unique goals, so it's your voice that comes through loud and clear. Get financial clarity. Go to umb.com/privatewealth to schedule an appointment. That's umb.com/privatewealth.
Hi, we're your friends who get super excited about the holidays.
We sure are, or this isn't the ugliest holiday sweater ever.
People think we're happy because we love peppermint lattes.
Or catching snowflakes on our tongues.
But really, it's because
it's Holiday Millionaire Raffle Season!
It's your best odds to win $1 million.
That's dollars, not twinkling lights, but that would be great too.
Play the Kansas Lottery Holiday Millionaire Raffle. Get excited!
See kslottery.com for details.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single-line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Let's face it. Nowadays, most companies have to rely on dozens of expensive, disconnected platforms to run their business. And even then, things can get a little, well, stressful. But with Odoo's all-in-one management software, packed with a suite of fully integrated business applications, every process is streamlined. Tasks are automated, and success is just a few clicks away. See how Odoo can take your business to the next level at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8, 2025 if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodities interest can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Displayed prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. Learn more at robinhood.com/election.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
You can listen to the play-by-play of the Chiefs and Broncos game with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFMZ FM and AM HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Mahomes in the shotgun. Kareem Hunt, the running back, goes in motion to set up a strong side. And now Mahomes looking right. Now the back of the end zone, caught! DeAndre Hopkins, welcome to the Chiefs Kingdom! Your first Kingdom touchdown! Kansas City set up with an incredible 35-yard catch in the middle of a circus. And he catches 8 yards deep in the end zone, and the Chiefs take a 9-7 lead.
Mitch Holthus on the call right here on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan. Yeah, that was touchdown number 1 for DeAndre Hopkins, and that did follow the unbelievable catch. Led to a huge day, a huge night for DeAndre Hopkins, and obviously helped them on their way to an overtime win, capped off by a Kareem Hunt touchdown. We've got Nate Taylor joining us, his regular visit each and every Tuesday. He, of course, was at the game late last night at Arrowhead, and our conversations with Nate Taylor are presented by Mark Ferguson. We all make mistakes. Let Mark and his legal team make the best of them. 816-221-1750. 5-0. We'll get to the mistake from Todd Bowles and 2-point conversion stuff at some point, I'm sure. Well, what's going on, Nate?
I am well.
You get any sleep last night?
Hell no. I appreciate you asking. No, it was difficult to go to sleep just because your boy is in mid writing of the Mahomes feature for the halfway point of the season. So I'm
glad it's only the halfway point and not the end of the season for him.
He made it super complicated for you because it is a not easy story to tell this year.
No, I mean, look, it's extremely captivating. There's reporting I have that I don't believe anybody else has done yet.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Wait,
yes,
can you give us a hint, or is this just saving it all for the? Article?
I mean, the mothership, the New York Times / The Athletic, would like for me to
keep that under wraps.
Yeah, give you a tease.
All right, when do I get to read it at least?
Hopefully on Friday.
Okay.
Would be like if it was up to me, this thing would run Friday before they play the Denver Broncos on Sunday. It doesn't look like, at least as of right now, like the Chiefs are making a trade. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I chose one of the hardest days of the year, the trade deadline, election day, coming off of a Monday Night Football game to try to get this story to my editor about the idea that Patrick Mahomes continues to evolve. That is basically what the story is about.
Okay.
And yeah, man, there's just a lot in it that I think people will obviously find interesting and intriguing, because if he's doing this at this point already, just imagine, because he continues to evolve in a way that I think you can see, and I think there's ways where you can't see, which is obviously what I'm trying to explain.
We'll talk about the game here in just a second, but real quick, you alluded to it there. We're less than 2 hours away from the NFL trade deadline. We know they already made their big move, DeAndre Hopkins, last week or a week and a half ago, whatever it is. At this point in time, are they done?
I think so. I think Latimore, Marshawn Latimore, was their number one target when today began, or essentially after last night's game. I know some people will say, well, Nate, they're 8-0. The defense has played pretty well up to this point in the season. Why would they want a veteran cornerback, obviously someone who's been a Pro Bowler before? And I think the one thing that you could point to last night, because you're not going to change the linebackers, and they've struggled, obviously, against covering tight ends all season. But when Baker Mayfield was in an up-tempo 2-minute drill,
I picked on a little.
Where is 30 and where is 2? And if you could just mitigate one of those with a better, serviceable, even above average cornerback alongside opposite Trent McDuffie, then the defense doesn't have as many, doesn't have it necessarily as what appears to be a minor hole that obviously could get bigger as the season goes on. But that's one of the reasons why it's unfortunate that, Jalen Watson is basically done for the year, and he was playing great for the first 6 games of the season. But Christian Roland-Wallace is an undrafted rookie. And, Joshua Williams has basically struggled from training camp on this year. So you can't necessarily, you're not really sure what you're going to get from him. So even though I think they're probably done, I think their biggest priority, I guess from now until 3 o'clock, because they can still obviously make a move, is at the cornerback position, because you can see that the competition last night was not high. But in
Sterling Shepard and
in a gotta have it drive, Baker Mayfield basically found his one-on-one matchups against those corners, and in the postseason, it will not be Sterling Shepard running routes with the season on the line.
I know the Jalen Watson stuff changed a little bit. Like, I go back through because, this season they faced their fair share of good NFL quarterbacks, top 10 NFL quarterbacks. They faced Lamar Jackson, the MVP favorite. They faced Kirk Cousins. They faced Joe Burrow, who's having a tremendous season statistically. They faced their fair share. This is the first time I saw him struggle. In a weird way, I'll wait another time. Baker, to me, is just like, he's one of the few players I feel like just generally in sports that, even though he's probably like the 12th best quarterback and always is, usually the 12th best quarterback, in my opinion, is just like, the reason why they're that is they're steady. They don't screw anything up. They just live their life. They go about, they Alex Smith their way through life, and they're fine. Baker's a gamer.
Yes.
The reason why he's the 12th best quarterback is like, things start heating up and you get the best version of Baker. I might just chalk up the 2-minute warning to that before I start panicking if I were the Chiefs. Baker just does stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah, and he's not afraid of Patrick Mahomes, because obviously he's battled against him,
Great college game
in college, yes. And so that was why his reaction to the coin toss was so enlightening, so entertaining, and so relatable. Because I was like, I don't agree with Todd Bowles.
It's stupid decision.
Yeah, we've all been there, right? We've seen it. I don't know who it was on Twitter last night, and it was a great analogy of just saying, like, if you don't go for 2 with less than a minute left, with what appears to be the momentum, and you went right down the field, it's like turning your back on Michael Myers. Yeah. Like he's gonna get you. Like he's down. Kill him. Like do something. Don't
back over him with your car.
Yeah, don't turn around and walk away. But that's essentially what they did. They said, "Hey, go kick the extra point," and then Baker Mayfield's like, "We can't do this. This is not smart." But yeah, I love Baker Mayfield because the game plan was not easy to accomplish. Hey, don't let Chris Jones devour you. You have no receivers of any caliber like Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and you got to see the blitz and check it down and get it to your guys in open space and hope they miss a couple tackles, which ended up happening. And then when the opportunity was there, he striked to get those 2 touchdowns to keep them in the game. I mean, you can't ask much more from Baker Mayfield, but I do think Baker Mayfield doesn't have necessarily the cachet or the onions to tell Todd Bowles, I'm not leaving this field.
Yeah.
They're still in a divisional race, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do love the way Baker Mayfield has come into his own and can adjust based on the circumstances, because I went into that game thinking they were going to lose by double digits just based on the lack of skill position talent available to him.
The other thing, though, other than DeAndre Hopkins himself and how great he looked coming out of the game that I really liked was Cody and I were discussing the rushing attack. First half, they struggled to run the ball, but only 9 carries for the running backs. And I felt like they got away from the run a little bit. And then we saw them run 3 or 4 straight plays, and the rest is kind of history. Offensively, they started to move the ball again. Kareem Hunt ends up with over 100 yards on 27 carries. That, to me, was a good sign that Andy Reid is willing to not completely avoid the running game just because it doesn't work in the first half, which is what I was really concerned was happening.
Yeah, I heard you guys earlier on this, and I think the best part about it is the conditions, the opponent, and the fact that, look, I don't think Patrick was like really comfortable in the first half. Obviously, he got he ended up with 4 sacks. So hey, it's how can we stabilize things? How can we slow things down and get us back on track? And giving the ball to Kareem Hunt has been a revelation. I never, ever, ever thought he was going to be this good, guys. There was no way to necessarily predict it.
It's crazy.
I think, one of the stats that I just saw, which I don't know, like, if there's a large sample size, but it is something. With 118 touches and 465 scrimmage yards, Kareem Hunt has set a new Super Bowl era record for the most touches and yards by a player signed mid-season through his first 5 games with the club. So if you can rely on that, no matter how long it's going to last, that helps stabilize the offensive line. That obviously makes you more balanced, so the defense can't necessarily just focus on the passing attack. And then all of a sudden, hey, you find one-on-one matchups for Travis Kelce. You find one-on-one matchups on the outside for DeAndre Hopkins, and now all of a sudden this thing is humming. Even despite the quarterback dealing with a rolled ankle on a slippery field, the coaching staff adjusted really, really well last night when things could have clearly gotten out of hand. Where we see it, a bunch of times in the regular season, where you're like, how did that team lose a game? Well, sometimes it's because you didn't have the right game plan and you couldn't adjust, or you didn't have the personnel to like make a change on the fly. Well, the Chiefs were able to do that with an offense that has continued being a revolving door because this is only DeAndre Hopkins' second game, and they don't have Juju. They don't have Rashee Rice. And Travis Kelce all of a sudden has gone right back to being the world's greatest tight end.
So obviously DeAndre Hopkins is a professional wide receiver like we discussed last week. I was stunned that inside of 10 days, Patrick Mahomes trusts him enough to throw that ball already. I have not seen him throw a ball to a wide receiver like that since Tyreek. It's been years, Nate.
Yes.
He's known it for 10 days, and he's like, good enough.
Yep.
Here comes the ball, DeAndre. You'll probably figure it out. And I just like the idea that they could build that kind of trust that proves to me that they got into a practice field And Mahomes thought the exact same thing as us.
Yes.
He threw him a couple of routes, and he's like, that's a professional man. He knows what he's supposed to do.
He really
catches it with
does.
his hands or whatever the hell he's supposed to do. All the little things, right? And I feel like he must have just noticed it immediately if he's going to throw it.
Let me remind people, because this is obviously part of the story I'm writing. But like you say, Cody, that he catches the ball with his hands. Dog, last year they had a receiver group that dropped 25 catchable passes, the most of any receiver group since the 2012 Jags, and they won the Super Bowl.
He catches the ball. Like, this sounds so stupid, but like when you watch something finally and it's been a while, it's like when you finally got a quarterback here. He catches the ball differently than their other wide receivers.
Oh, with confidence.
It just looks like he's
He goes and snags the football out of the air and he gets it.
Yes.
Yeah, he goes and gets it.
And secure against tight coverage, right? Like that play. Hey, I'm going to catch the ball, and I know which shoulder to turn on the outside to get additional yards, to get us another first down when, most receivers would have been like, hey, I'm comfortable getting that 6-7. It at least keeps us, ahead of the chains, and we could just go from there. Man, they ran an RPO where he was wide open on a slant, and it's almost to the point where you're like, hey guys, that's DeAndre Hopkins. Like that's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. You might want to guard him. But he just knows what to do, and even though he doesn't know the full playbook, and even though DeAndre sort of acknowledged that, like, I ran the wrong route, to your point, he still threw him the ball. And amidst a collapsing pocket, it's just
a great throw.
It's an incredible throw. Maybe Josh Allen can do that. Maybe Geno Smith. I don't know anybody else in the league right now other than those two guys who could maybe make that throw in that much amount of traffic, with V of A basically like getting ready to devour him. And the placement was perfect. And the best part was DeAndre caught the ball and stood up and said, oh yeah, this is what I do. There's no like elaborate celebration. There's no like, oh yeah, like I just made a play not even I could make. That's the beauty of watching Demarcus Robinson. Every time he makes a play for the Rams, he's like, even he's surprised.
How about the walk-off catch, though?
Incredible.
Walk-off catch for the Rams against the Seahawks in overtime.
Mm-hmm. You could definitely celebrate, but there's part of him where he's like,
I got it.
I just did this with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua as my teammates. Like I'm leading us to game-winning victories. Whereas, DeAndre Hopkins is like, yes, it's just a Monday. It's just a Monday in week 9. We just keep it going.
But he looks happy. He looks happy to be doing this.
Oh, he was emotional in post-game, the on-field interview that he had there. I mean, he was pretty emotional about being in this spot. He was also still pretty grateful to the Titans. They didn't have to trade him to Kansas City, especially when now we see the compensation today. Mike Williams goes to the Steelers for a 5th-round pick. The Chiefs traded a 5th-rounder, maybe a 4th if they make the Super Bowl, but the exact same compensation. They got 2 more games out of Hopkins than what the Steelers are going to get out of Williams. And obviously, let's just be real, DeAndre Hopkins is a better wide receiver than Mike Williams. Not even close.
Pretty much all the time.
Guys, like there's a deadline. Hey, I would have told this to the Steelers. You don't have to trade for him because once the deadline passes, he's going to get cut. So like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Like, okay, if it's a 7th-round pick, a little pick swap, cool. Make it easy, get him in the building sooner rather than later. You could have done that at 4:00. You could have cut. They were going to cut him, I think, tomorrow had he not been traded, and then you could have just picked him up. So, again, the 2 trades that the Chiefs have made with DeAndre Hopkins and Joshua Uche, like they appear to be above the average of what we're seeing today. Even though I think Marshawn Latimore is a great player, he is not. How many picks is it?
It's what, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th or something. It's like 3 picks going to New Orleans.
That's a lot.
I feel like the Chiefs were a stalking horse. They were just driving that price up. Just like, I got a 4th for you. Maybe one of these 3rds.
Maybe a 3rd. Yep.
Maybe one of these 3rds. And they're like, but what else you got? And you're like, what else? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and then the Saints, and then the Saints leak out. The Saints leak out that the Chiefs are interested, or a bunch of teams are interested,
and then up comes the price tag.
And the Commanders are obviously in a different spot. They got a lot of money to free up for next year.
And they have, and God bless them, they have their quarterback. That is legitimate.
Do you think, though, we saw in Buffalo, I think it is, right, that they're going to move on from Mike Edwards? He's getting cut. He was asked for release. He's going to get it. Mm-hmm. He's a safety, not a corner, but do you think, could he come back to Kansas City?
The problem with that is Jaden Hicks he's good.
Yeah.
He's a rookie, and he's
Did Mike
good.
Edwards ever play any corner at all? Would they line him up? So then he's not going to be a fit.
You could ask him to maybe be a slot guy
Yeah.
in like a dime personnel package. They've obviously did that at times last year based on the availability or the lack of availability from Brian Cook, obviously dealing with the ankle injury. So, I think they need boundary help more than inside slot.
Does that exist? Does that exist at this point?
I don't think so. And I mean, again, if you're going to make a trade today, the player has to be a clear upgrade based on what you have. And I don't know if there's another cornerback who is a clear upgrade from Najee Johnson or Joshua Williams or even Christian Roland Wallace, because those guys can be rotated in throughout the course of the season. If the picks are going to take that much, which I think is a bit surprising, then it's probably smart to just stay pat and see if someone from a cornerback standpoint gets released, not necessarily Mark Edwards, even though I think Mark Edwards will obviously fit in the system, do well. I think he's looking at it as, and I understand this, like, who's better, DeMar Hamlin or Mike Edwards?
DeMar Hamlin's actually playing really well this year.
Yeah.
He's playing really well this year.
It's a toss-up based on the scheme, the production, and like who's
history.
Healthy, like who can be more consistent. Obviously, Mike Edwards has the postseason experience that DeMar Hamlin is just now starting to get. But I think that's the struggle for him. Is I'm not playing as much as I want to, and Tyler Rapp is playing out here, and he got a lot of trick or treat in him as well, where you don't know what's coming out of his production game to game.
I guess this is what doesn't bother me is what you're describing is essentially there is no perfect team.
No,
the Chiefs have the best quarterback, the best interior offensive line, the best interior defensive player in the league, best coach, GM, quarterback. So, okay.
Defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator. They got a little bit of problem at tackle. They got a little bit of problem at corner because no perfect teams. I could argue they have one of the best top 3 front sevens in the NFL. So, they got a couple problems here or there. I'll live my life.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
And the offense can get better. They scored a good amount after having a sort of very shaky first half. But look, I mean, they scored 30 points yesterday. That's their season high. I know it took 5 quarters, but still, when they had to have it, when they had to get a drive to get a lead or to win the game, they ended up doing it. And so, Isaiah Pacheco's going to come back. There's great belief that Hollywood Brown's going to come back. I've obviously said that before. Juju Smith-Schuster is not on IR, so you might be seeing him in the next, week or two. Moving forward, now that they have a clear idea as to how they can use DeAndre Hopkins alongside Travis Kelce, then you put Juju Smith-Schuster on the field with Xavier Worthy. You got 4 legitimate, really good options to throw the football with. And Kareem Hunt, again, if he can continue this level of production, the offense becomes even more dynamic, explosive, and unpredictable. So that can help you in some areas where, left tackle, it's hard. I saw that, Next Gen Stats and Pro Football Focus actually graded Wanya Morris to be very good last night. I don't know. Okay.
I have a different opinion. I didn't think he was miserable. I just thought
You're right. I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was like as good as they said he was. But okay, I mean, those grades were more like, I think, reflective of Trey Smith last night.
He was great,
especially in the run game. Yeah. So if that continues, then okay. Even if the quarterback is not as mobile as you would like because he's not fully healthy, I get the sense that there is no perfect team, but they have such an advantage in the standings. And Patrick Mahomes, as I asked him last night, he's dead on determined to get home field advantage in Arrowhead. Like, we not going to do this again.
I'm not going on the road.
Like we did this last year. If you give us home field advantage with that crowd and that stadium, with all the experience we have, that's quite a tall task for the Bills, the Ravens, obviously, even the Chargers, even teams that are trying to, like, get in the mix. It's going to be a tough challenge, and if you stay home, you get such an advantage.
No, the bye week is massive.
Yes, and I think that's what they're hoping to do, even though they might not be able to improve their team today.
Real quick, as we got Nate Taylor from The Athletic joining us as he does each and every Tuesday. Broncos on Sunday. It's a quick turnaround for everybody on this one. They obviously are coming off a pretty bad loss to Baltimore. They just got beat up. Their defense could not stop Lamar and company. What do you make of this one for Kansas City, just an early look?
I think it's going to have to be kind of a game where you just try to manage everything and not get – hopefully the game doesn't get too wacky, doesn't get too weird.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had like a 10-point lead at some point in the first half, and they could just sort of salt it away. Much of this game will come down to Patrick's, mobility, like how much treatment and how much can the ankle get strengthened between now and Sunday, again, on a short bye week. Look, I don't know if Juju's going to play. I would say probably not at this point, but who knows? He might return to practice. The defense has to get pressure on Bo Nix, because if you get pressure on Bo Nix, he does rookie quarterback things.
Mike Dana could be back?
Yes, he could be back. Obviously, Josh Uche will play more snaps, one would assume. George Karlaftis is on a nice little tear right now.
Yeah, he is.
And Chris Jones still just Chris Jones was collapsing in the pocket on double teams last night. Where I
almost had that with one late. Too.
Yeah,
he got held like 10 times.
Yes.
They only called it once.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just like shaking my head in the press box. I'm like, guys, no one understands what this man is doing to like a pretty good offensive line, where it's just like two guys are just moving backwards 5 yards every time. I know you're throwing the football. So if you get Bo Nix into some non-favorable situations and some pressure, I assume the blitzes will work against Bo Nix in the ways that they didn't work against Baker Mayfield. I just want to see Bo Nix give us one. What the hell you doing pass? Just give us one, baby, because it's a new kickoff, and
that's right.
I mean, I just don't think you're not going to be as emotionally up for a new kickoff like you would be on prime time. But I just want Bo Nix to do wild things in Arrowhead Stadium. His first time in there.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic will be keeping an eye maybe on Friday for the halfway point piece there on Patrick Mahomes and what he's doing. All right, coming up next, we'll get to what's trending. And then earlier today, our viNFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino, joined us. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs' start to the season, now at 8-0.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
At Volkswagen Lease Summit, you get to choose the offer. Pick no payments for 90 days on any new car. I went 0% APR for up to 60 months, or they'll double your down payment. $3,000 can become $6,000 at Volkswagen Lease Summit. I know it's always hard. You're like, where do I get the new car? What kind of car do I want? I did the research for you, if you want me to be honest. I drove around. I took the kids. My wife and I looked. We looked at different sizes and colors. We're like, what kind of car is going to work for our family? And after driving a Jetta for 10 years, I went back to Volkswagen. And because I wanted the best customer service experience in the city, I went to Volkswagen Lease Summit. My kids love the new car. Before, they didn't even want to be in my car. They just were in my wife's car. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of embarrassing. And I don't want to take my kid's friend in there because it was an old car, and it was time to get into a new one thanks to Volkswagen Lease Summit. Again, if you're looking for somebody who knows what they're doing, just take a look at their huge selections of new cars. Atlas, Atlas Crossport, Tiguan, Taos, Jetta, all of those, plus used cars and all makes and models as well. I could have bought a car from anywhere in the city. I could trust them with the long road trips I took this summer with my kids, with any place in the city, and I chose Volkswagen Lease Summit, and you should too. Just pick your car, then pick your promotion at VWLeaseSummit.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Finding an attorney can be an overwhelming process. Fortunately, since 1996, Mark Ferguson has helped thousands of Kansas Cityans during their time of need. Whether you're facing a traffic violation or a more serious crime, Mark and his team of seasoned, compassionate professionals are here to fight for you in all of your legal matters. Mark has built his career on integrity, knowledge, and an incredible reputation. Call Mark Ferguson at 816-203-2263. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It is one of my favorite times of the year. The NBA is back, baby, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, wants you to catch all the action because right now, FanDuel is giving all users, yes, every single user, 3 months free of NBA League Pass. All you need to do to catch every tip-off and every buzzer beater is place a $5 bet on the NBA. You can place this on LeBron having the most assists, Victor Wembanyama to win MVP, or who you think is going to win the NBA Cup. If you're new to FanDuel, all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/CDOT. Use my promo code to get 3 months free of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After a 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds, terms and restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
You've been waiting, and now is the time. Golden Oak Lending has fixed mortgage rates at 4.875%. But don't wait. This rate won't last forever. Call today and take advantage of our low 4.875 fixed rate. Call 913-890-GOLD. That's 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
5.784 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8th, 2025 if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodities interest can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Displayed prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. Learn more at robinhood.com/election.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold, presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. A busy trade deadline day, none directly related to the Chiefs, but we'll get you caught up on what has happened. The big trade today, Marshawn Latimore, no longer a member of the New Orleans Saints. He goes to the 7-2 Washington Commanders. Now, there was pretty considerable compensation for a player of his caliber that was required, but remember, the Commanders are in a different spot. They gave up a third-round pick, also a couple other late-round picks to make that happen. Also, Mike Williams traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the Jets receiver. Fifth-round pick is all it took, is what you might say, but then remember, DeAndre Hopkins only went for a fifth-round pick. So kind of interesting there. Also, earlier in the day, Zadarius Smith became a member of the Detroit Lions. He gets traded for the Browns. Jonathan Mingo, Panthers wide receiver, gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys.
The surprising one to me was Preston Smith getting traded from the Packers to the Steelers. Who trades a, rotational pass rusher at 8 sacks last year in the middle of a season when you yourself are in a playoff hunt?
Surprised by that. He's 32 years old, owed about 9 to 10 million, or 17 million next year. Had 8.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. Kind of surprising. I'm with you.
Money dump, I guess, or playing the long game, but it is confusing. Steelers know they only got this 1 year of Russell Wilson under contract where he costs nothing.
Load up the defense.
So they're doing whatever they can to try to steal some weirdo Super Bowl on defense where they just do it with Russell Wilson, which would be remarkable. I'll give him that. Next up on What's Trending, local college basketball last night. KU won 87-57. MU lost to Memphis 83-75. UMKC won 91-68 over Hannibal LaGrange. Actually, UMKC women's got the better win, traveling up to Utah State to get the win. And then Kansas State gets underway tonight against New Orleans. You can hear that game over on the Fan AM starting at 6 o'clock? 6 o'clock.
Lastly, if you're in Missouri, Amendment 2 today on the ballot on Election Day that would legalize sports betting. It is the best chance if you're someone that just wants sports betting in Missouri. I have told you I don't think it's a perfect amendment. I don't think that there's questions involved. But if you strictly are talking about legalizing sports wagering, something that 7 of the other states that border you have, then vote yes on Amendment 2. You want to go to Arrowhead and bet? You want to go to Coffin State and be able to bet? For your anti-gambling, I would say that there's already 16 casinos in your state. So you're not preventing gambling from happening in Missouri. It's already happening. Oh, yes, on Amendment 2. That's my spiel.
I just want to be able to
You're
bet
a
on my
Missouri
couch.
resident.
I want to bet on my couch. I can bet here before I go home. But last night when the Chiefs got up to plus 115 on the money line.
Yeah, you couldn't bet
right now.
You couldn't.
I couldn't bet it.
I could.
Would I have bet it? Yeah.
Someone in Illinois could.
Of course I would have.
Someone
bet
in Iowa could. Someone in
Oklahoma.
Arkansas. Yeah, Oklahoma's the one.
Oklahoma. Us in Oklahoma just slumming it.
That is the only Election Day conversation you will hear on Cody and Gold.
Until Drew tells us who he's voting for.
That's right. Drew's promised at 153.50. 153.50. Drew said he will tell us exactly how he bet.
His whole ticket.
How he bet. How he voted.
The whole ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Top to bottom. And how you voted on the ones in Missouri.
And in all seriousness, a lot of people have asked me, how do I think it goes for sports betting? I keep getting told it's going to be very tight. I've been texting with people today. They said it's going to be very tight. I did hear, though, if it passes, it could be up and running in early 2025, as in by March Madness, if it passes. It requires Missouri residents to do that. Could be ready for March Madness if it passes today. If it doesn't pass today, and as I told you yesterday, it could be quite some time before you ever see betting in Missouri on the sports front. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Earlier today, we had our viNFL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino, join us, and obviously wanted to get his perspective on the big overtime win last night for Kansas City. And we did start our conversation, ask him about his trip. He was in the Bahamas this past weekend. We found out why.
He's had songs written about him without asking for it.
Pasquantino, I want it. Now it's time for Pasquantino.
Mythological creatures and sandwiches have been named after him.
Beefy and Italian.
And he also thought the Devontae Adams trade was going to save the Jets.
The damn Jets.
Welcome back to the show, our VIN-FL insider, Vinnie Pasquantino.
Well, good morning, Vinnie Pasquantino, our viNFL insider. How we feeling, man? Are you still are you stateside yet? Are you still overseas?
I am stateside. I got back on Sunday evening. Now I'm just enjoying the next few weeks of peace before start traveling again for wedding season.
Yeah. So this was my understanding was a bachelor party, right, over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm allowed to say it was Bobby's bachelor party.
Yeah.
I think there were enough players posting about it that we put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So yeah, it was his bachelor party. It was a lot of fun.
Was Michael Walker there? We were happy to see him back with the Royals.
Michael Walker was in Kansas City finishing up a deal that I think everybody should be pretty happy about. So, yeah, he was not there, but he was in Kansas City signing pen to paper there, confirming that he'll stay with the Kansas City Royals for at least the next 3 years, hopefully the next 4 years.
Now, I don't know, did you get the, going back to Bobby for a second, I don't know if you were part of, I guess you were at the bachelor party. We thought it was super cool, the Topps, I guess, baseball cards that were actually asking, or groomsmen gifts, or at least asking to be part of the bachelor party. Did you get one of those?
I did. It was a pretty cool thing that's on my mantle right now. I thought it was a really cool way for a guy who's super into cards like he is. I thought it was a really, special way to ask guys to be a part of his big day. So I do have one.
Vinny, I'm assuming that Bobby kind of lands in this same thing, but we're watching the Chiefs game last night. Andy Reid says that Mahomes has the loosest ankles in the NFL. Do you find that some players just have an additional flexibility to avoid injury in that kind of case? Because for about 60 seconds, I was worried Mahomes was down for the year.
Yeah, so full transparency, I did not see it. I was at a hockey game, so I did not see the injury. I saw the end of the game, so I saw them talking about it. But yeah, I think there's just some guys that, I don't know, it feels like have a knack to not have things go wrong. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know what the science would be there, but maybe it's just simple toughness. I don't know how to describe it. There's just a will there for him to be okay. And I'm sure he's in pain. It didn't look like there was the one play where he fell down after he handed the ball off. I'm sure there's some stuff going on, but he definitely seems to be a guy that when things go wrong, he doesn't let it affect anything to the point where you can't tell if anything is seriously wrong or not. So you got to give it to him for that.
I think everybody, including Baker Mayfield, knew what was going to happen once that game went to overtime, though. We're kind of stunned that the Bucs didn't take their shot there, Vinny, and try to go for 2.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with the announcers. There was a few things that were confusing there. I don't understand the timeout.
No, that was a bad one.
Because it just feels like 30 seconds or whatever. Kudos to the Buccaneers for scoring there and making that, go to overtime. But I don't think anybody saw 27 seconds left on the clock with 3 timeouts for the Chiefs thinking, I was surprised they didn't score at the end of the fourth, to be honest. And then, you see them get the ball to start overtime. It's like, okay, well, it just feels like the game's over. That's just what they do. You can't let them have an opportunity to finish the game on their own accord. And if you give them that opportunity, they're going to take it. And that's why they are who they are, because they do the little things right. If they make mistakes, they can cover up for it later. And they simply just don't make as many mistakes as other teams. They've got better players, and they're just really freaking good.
I think Baker's the perfect example of organizations matter. I'm impressed. They lost their top 2 wide receivers. He's still out there battling with Patrick Mahomes on the road in a game. I felt like I gave him a ton of credit. I feel like he's kind of underrated still amongst some of the great NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word, not to use the word twice, but I think the word is just tough. He's just a good player. The thing about him, right, is he's going to look like he did last night. I think there's some inconsistencies with sometimes he looks fantastic, sometimes he doesn't look fantastic, and that's probably why he's been with a few different teams. It's not anything against him. It's just kind of the truth. Sometimes he throws interceptions that he probably shouldn't, and sometimes, like the last drive last night, he looks like the number 1 overall pick, where he's just slinging the ball around to Sterling Shepard, and he just looks fantastic. So he kept him in that game last night. I think that's a tough one for the Bucs to swallow. You've got the Chiefs right there. I think you could say that about 5 teams that have played the Chiefs this year, and the Chiefs are just better, and they know how to finish games.
Yeah, that what you just said there is exactly, I think, what most of Kansas City is feeling like here, and maybe most of the NFL, which is that you watch them, and there's plenty of moments where you're like, oh, this team is very beatable, and yet I think, as Scott Van Pelt said, he's like they're they're unbeatable, even if they look beatable at times. But and here we are, and they're sitting at 8-0.
Yeah, they do the little things better than everybody else. They block better. They run the football and they stop the run. And even though we're in a new era of football where throwing is king, even though I think it's coming back, like you can stop the run and you can run it, you're gonna have a shot because you can take time off the clock and you can keep time in your favor when you can stop the other team from running. So they do the little things really well, like I keep saying, and it's they're just a tough team to beat. Obviously,
we've had a show debate about whether or not which teams to take seriously in the rest of the AFC. So I'd like your opinion. Our producer obviously is a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I think they're fraudulent. Do you still think they're dangerous?
They do little things poorly. Too many penalties, too many big defensive plays. So, yeah, I don't see them. I see it probably as a three-team race in the AFC between the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. I think really anybody outside of that doesn't really have a shot, in my personal opinion.
Now, are you going to, here over the next couple of weeks, maybe at least from a playoff spot perspective, talk yourself back into your Jets? You got to feel at least better about the situation after that big win last week.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have the strongest schedule in the back half of the season, so I think from that end, it gives you some hope that they can go on a little bit of a run, but they need to tighten some things up, and they haven't done that all year, so there's no precedent that they're going to. So if they were to make a run, it would surprise me a little bit, but I could see it happening. But they need to be better in pretty much all facets of the game, and they'll show glimpses of it like they did in the second half against the Texans. And if they continue to play like that, it'll be great. But they've given me no reason to believe that they'll continue to play like that. Doesn't mean they won't, but I have no evidence that they will. So I'm hopeful that they will. Really hopeful that they will. But we'll see what happens.
Maybe, Vinny, for your sake, maybe the Lions can be like, I don't think at any point in my entire life, I was born in 1984, could you openly say the Lions are one of, if not the best team in the entire NFL right now? They had a long run of bad. Maybe that could be the next thing for the Jets, right? The Lions are the example of how you can come out of the darkness.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, they've got a coach that clearly leads that team that everybody buys into. I mean, I'm a big believer in, even if your plan is bad, but everybody believes in it, you've got a shot. In no way am I saying the Lions' plan is bad. I'm just saying that's how I believe in it. And the Lions have so much conviction in what they're doing that they're just a tough team to beat too, because they believe in everything they're doing. Like, we're going to come hit you in the face, and we'll see how you react to it. Like, we're going to play offense all game long. See how that feels. And they've been able to just beat teams up this year, and it's been really impressive to watch. And yeah, I'd love it if my team was like that.
You get there one day. I have faith in you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just remind me again, what age did you become a Jets fan?
I don't remember. It's been my whole life.
Okay.
Remember, it's the whole Vinny Testaverde thing.
Yeah. I know that there's like a picture of when I was like 5 or 6 years old wearing a Curtis Martin full outfit, like full uniform for, I don't even think it was Halloween. I'm pretty sure for Christmas, I just wore an entire Curtis Martin uniform.
No, I respect it. I just think that, like, when you look at the organizations that change it, a lot of times it starts with quarterback. I'm assuming that that's why the Jets tried with Aaron Rodgers. It's just harder to draft one. I guess that's what we mentioned.
I disagree. I think a lot of it starts from even higher than that.
Okay.
You have to put people in the right situation, and that's your job as like front office, right? You create the culture and the situation for guys to come thrive. And if you're lucky enough, you'll bring in a player that can change it on his own. But for the most part, that starts from the top down. And you can see that with some Sam Darnold is thriving in Minnesota.
Right.
Nobody would have said that, right? That comes from a culture standpoint of Kevin O'Connell does a great job with him, and they set it up in a really good way. And situation does matter quite a bit in sports. And now sometimes, like I said, there's players that can transcend situation, but for the most part, it's all situation based.
Can the same be said for your fantasy football team? Is the right man in charge? How are we looking?
That's 100% correct. You guys got to want to come to work and want to work for you. So that's why I always try to draft tough-minded individuals on my fantasy team to just make sure that we're in every single game. We might not win every single game, but we're gonna make it tough on our opponents.
Who's having the worst season? If you can just throw out somebody's name, that's part of that fantasy football league.
Garrett Hampson. His team sucks. His team sucks. It's like 1-7 right now. His team is just called Fire Sale, which is a crazy thing to have in a 1-year redraft league. So.
Yeah.
Who's he selling it for?
What are people trading him real cash? What's going on here?
No, I think he's just tired of his team and he wants new players. But nobody wants his players. He's 1-7.
Does he at least have the injury excuse? Like, did he draft McCaffrey and Pacheco and he just got screwed?
I'm in so many leagues that I have no idea.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I feel bad for Garrett.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy. I feel bad for his terrible fantasy team.
Great guy, and playoff absolute champion for us this year.
No doubt. Hey, Vinny, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Yep. See you guys.
There you go. Vinnie Pasquantino, our VinFL insider, with us earlier today. He joins us every Tuesday right around 10:30 on 96.5 The Fan. And, poor Garrett Hampson just getting called out there. I appreciate Vinny throwing out the name. I was just curious. There's somebody in your team league that's terrible, and I guess this year it happens to be Garrett Hampson's fantasy football team.
Sounds like it's going pretty bad, man. 1-7.
That's rough.
You putting a lineup together?
That's rough.
I've had some bad fantasy football teams, but 1-7.
It's a long season.
How many fantasy leagues are you in? 4? Sounds like Vinny's in at least 3 or 4.
I have the 3 guillotine leagues that we do.
Ooh,
and
that's
then
3 already.
That's 3. I'm still alive in all 3. And then
Who knows? I'm only alive in 1 of the 2.
I have 2 other leagues, so 5, which is a lot. I honestly, I'll be honest. In the guillotine league, I figured I'd be chopped by now. So I'm like, those 3 will go away. Somehow we're still alive in all 3, and it's November, so that's good.
If you're curious how DeAndre Hopkins is feeling about being in Kansas City, 4 minutes ago he tweeted just a photo of Tom Brady and Randy Moss embracing.
Love it.
Referencing that.
D-Hop going to get his first ring. I'm telling you, he'll end up in the Hall of Fame. You get that ring, and it solidifies his case. The problem for him was the PED thing, but if he gets a ring and he finishes his career strong, and
they care less about it in the NFL.
Then I think he'll end up in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be. His numbers are going to be there when it's all said and done. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Tomorrow, we're back at it, 10 to 2. Ross Tucker going to join us on the show, and we'll talk about whether or not sports betting passed.
Please.